Okay. So finally, good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all the respected panelists, participants at this conference titled Future of the Museum versus Museum of the Future, which is the first international collaboration of Lahore Museum with Together for Heritage, U.A.E, ICOM-Pakistan, and Soch Contemporary. As we all see all over the world, museums and other organizations are working together in preserving cultural property, history, and natural heritage for the future generation. In this connection, Dr. Sam Al-Najdi, CEO Together for Heritage, which is an international organization for working for the protection of heritage sectors, and Mr. Usman, Director of Lahore Museum, have collaborated for this conference, followed up by an exhibition focusing on specific site-specific interventions of museum collection through emerging technologies, which will also highlight such important factors of sustainable development goals like quality education, sustainable cities and communities, and climate action. With many thanks and respect, I would like to request Mr. Usman, Mr. Muhammad Usman, who is the director of Lahore Museum, to please join us and give his valuable remarks through his opening speech on this initiative. Mr. Usman belongs to Pakistan Administrative Services, and he has held important managerial positions in Government of Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, including Special Secretary Health Department, Member Planning and Development Board Punjab. So thank you so much, Mr. Usman, for joining. Please, I would like to request you to come on stage.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All the dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm highly thankful to you all for sparing some time out of your busy schedules and coming all the way to Lahore Museum for joining this session, as well as all those who have joined us online. I am really thankful to all of you. Perhaps we are living in the most changing times in world history. The last 100 years have surely been the most challenging and most changing for the human civilization. And we have seen many such upheavals during the last 100 years. We have seen political structures withering away and giving way to new structures. We have seen social and societal values changing, being replaced by new social structures. And perhaps we can say that in the next 100 years, we are going to experience another phase and another wave of major change. And for that purpose, I think the human civilization and the humanity in itself and all of us need to think that we are on the right side and we are ready for that change, and we are ready to negotiate with it, and we are ready to accept or reject it. Because change, sometimes it is good, sometimes it is for the bad. So we need to understand that what and how much we need to do in order to negotiate with these coming times. And museums are no exception to this. History and archaeology have also witnessed a major shift in the last 100 years. Previously, history was perhaps only the story of kings, generals, and builders. But now, history has encompassed more wider subject. It has included more subjects, including the history of common people. Similar is the case of museology. There are new emerging trends in museology. We are faced by new challenges. There was a time when humans were trying to explore the reality. But now we are talking in terms of virtual reality and augmented reality. And we need to understand that in pursuit of this new augmented and virtual reality, we are not oblivious of the reality itself. So this is in this very spirit that we have actually had collaborated this event to understand the likely changes that this museology sector is going to experience in the coming years. And I am highly thankful to Together for Heritage. I am highly thankful to Dr. Esam Al-Najdi for this wonderful collaboration. I'm also thankful to his team, the project head, for arranging not only this talk, but also this exhibition that includes works of various artists on the subject of museums of the future versus future of the museums, a very interesting topic. And perhaps we can say that once we have heard the talks given by all the participants, we would be much wise on the subject. We would be more educated on the subjects, that what is coming our way and how to deal with it. And with this, I leave you, and I look forward to your wonderful talks. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mohammad Usman, for giving such an encouraging speech. And it is also because of your encouragement that we got this chance to have this conference followed up by the exhibition. And I'm really excited, and I'm really honored to I'm really honored to have this opportunity to work within the museum and with the collection of the museum. So thank you so much. So now actually we will move on to our next respected speaker, who is going to give the opening speech. I would like to introduce him first. I would like to, with many thanks, and I would like to invite Mr. Professor Dr. Esam Al-Najdi, founder and president of Together for Heritage, with PhD in Islamic Architecture Preservation, CEO, Professor Al-Najdi Private Office. He had been a director of ICOM U.A.E, and before that, the head of conservation operation in Qatar Museums. Currently, he is a chief officer, Division of Cultural Heritage and Museums Creators Union of Arab, consultative status ECOSOC, ECOSOC, United Nations, WHS, and Museums Consultant, co-president of Tolerance MOUV, and also an active member of ICOM International since 2012, along with ICTOP, ICROM, and ICOMOS, American Council of Museum, and AAM. So thank you so much, Dr. Esam, for joining us, and I would like you to give your opening speech on this conference.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Sana, for the nice introduction. And I will extend my thanks and gratitude to Mr. Muhammad Osman, for the director of Lahore Museum, and all his team for this actually opportunity to international collaboration and cooperation between us, Together for Heritage and Lahore Museum. And I also would like to thank Mr. Alberto Garandini, my dear friend from the time of ICOM, as the former president of ICOM. I'm very happy that he is on board with us, and thank you, Sana, that you send him this invitation, and respectfully he agreed to join us. Actually, today's topic, it's the story of it comes in my mind like long time ago. I want to explore with you the idea of future of museums and museum of the future, which actually came when I was discussing what is happening in the future in like 2040 or 2050 for our heritage. So the idea came to my mind that what we are doing now is the heritage of our future. And what we are doing now is the future of our heritage. So basically, the direction of today actions, especially in today's digital age, where information is at our fingertips and virtual experience abound, museums face unique challenge. They must evolve. We must evolve. We must not stop in our feet now and adapt to capture the attention and imagination of a new generation of visitors. This conference explored the future of museums and how they are undergoing a revolution to remain relevant and engaging in rapidly changing world. Actually, the museum in the past have a long and fascinating history that dates back centuries originally. Originally, they were known as curiosity cabinets or cabinets of wonder. This early collection features a mishmash of objects from exotic specimens to rare artifacts, often displayed in ornate cabinets. They were primarily private collections, catering in the curiosity of their owners and select few. Over time, these cabinets of wonder evolved into more formal institutions. The Enlightenment era played a significant role in this transformation. As scholars and collectors began to see the value of organizing and cataloging their collections for educational purpose, museum becomes centers of learning where people could study and appreciate the natural world, history, and art. As museums grow improperly, they started to specialize in particular fields, just like natural history, art museums, and science and museums, which emerged in different museums, each focusing on specific area of knowledge. This specialization allowed museums to delve deeper into their chosen subject and provide more in-depth experience for their visitors, just what we are doing now also as well. In the digital age, the advent of digital age brought new opportunities and challenges for museums. While it opened up possibilities for online collections and virtual tours, it also raised questions about the role of physical museum in an increasingly digital world. How could museum compete for attention in an era when anyone could access vast amount of information with just few clicks? Immersing technology to stay relevant, museum have to immerse technology. Many museum now offers impressive digital experience, such as augmented reality, AR, virtual reality, VR exhibits. These technologies allows visitors to engage with exhibits in entirely new ways, bringing history, art, and science to life before their eyes. The interactive exhibits have become a hallmark of modern museum. Gone are the days of passive observation. Visitors now expect to participate actively in their museum's experience, whether it is hands-on science experiments or touch-screen display. Interactive engage and educate visitors like never before. Museums are now no longer confined to physical spaces. They are expanding their reach through digital platform and partnership. Online collections, virtual tours, and educational content are accessible to global audience. Museums have become more inclusive, making their treasures available to people who may never see foot in the physical museum. Connecting on emotional level. In the past, museums often presented facts and artifacts without much context. Today, They understand the power of storytelling. Visitors are more likely to remember and connect with exhibits that tell a completing story. Museums are now curate their collections with narrative in mind, making history and science come alive through captivative tales. Museums also recognize the need of diversity and inclusion in their narratives. They are striving to tell broader range of stories, representing diverse culture, perspective, and voices. This not only enrich the museum experience, but also promotes a more inclusive and equitable society. In conclusion, the future of museum is an exciting one as they continue to evolve and embrace technology interactively and storytelling. Museums are poised to remain vital and relevant in the 21st century. They are no longer static repositories of knowledge, but dynamic and engaging spaces that inspire, educate, and connect people across the globe. To stay ahead in this evolution and revolution, museums must keep innovating, listening to their audience, and pushing the boundaries of what is possible. The digital age has opened up a world of possibilities, and the future of museums is bright with endless opportunities in captivative and inspire generations to come. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope we hear much more from our audience and also colleagues attending this. Thank you very much, Sana.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sam, for your valuable input. I would like to now welcome our next guest speaker, Mr. Alberto Garlandini, who is a former president of ICOM International 2019 to 2022 and a president of ICOM Foundation. He has also been a former president of ICOM International Museum Research and Exchange Center, Shanghai, chair of the governing board of the International Journal of Intangible Heritage, Seoul, president of the organizing committee of 2016 ICOM Milan General Conference, president of the scientific committee of Trento Museo delle Scienze, MUSE, president of Abbonamento Musei Association, scientific committee of Brescia Musei Foundation, Monza Royal Palace and Park, board of directors of Federculture Federation of Public Services for Cultural Tourism, Sport, Leisure, Casa Museo Rafoni Foundation, Isola Pescatori, Stresa, and Palazzo Ducale Museum, Mantua. He had been a president ICOM Italy 2010 to 2014, Director General Culture and Cinema of Regional Lombardia 2010 to 2013, and Board of Directors of 2015 to 2020. So I will welcome you here, Mr. Alberto. I'm so glad that you have joined us. Please share your thoughts on this agenda of ours.
Thanks a lot, Sana. Dear friends and colleagues, it's a great pleasure to be with you at this international conference. I would like to congratulate Lahore Museums, Together for Heritage, ICOM-Pakistan, Soch Contemporary, Sana Durrani and Mariam Hanif Khan, for organizing this timely event on the future of the museums. My speech will focus on the role of museums in global change. In the past years, museums have changed radically and rapidly. The view of museums solely as conservation institution is now totally outdated. Museums have strengthened their social roles, seeking solutions to societal, environmental, and economic issues. The core functions of museums, conservation, exhibition, education, communication, and promotion of collections remain a priority. But contemporary museums have also become communication and participation hubs. Museums promote inclusion and mediation, engage in intercultural dialogue, address new audiences, and use new languages and media. Museums work beyond museum buildings and deal with the cultural, natural, tangible, and intangible heritage in their environment. Managing contemporary museums is an innovative and creative job. Traditional professions such as directors, curators, and conservators have deeply changed, and new professions are on the rise, particularly in education, outreach, communication, digital services, marketing, security, and safety. Museums are now a melting pot of professions, disciplines, and competencies. Museums are multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary institutions where teamwork and integrated approaches are a must. In recent years, the number of museums have boomed. There were a few dozen museums at the beginning of the 19th century, and only 6,000 before World War II. Kenneth Hudson, the renowned English museologist who passed away at the end of the 20th century, listed 22,000 museums all over the world in 1975. Now, the last UNESCO report on museums accounts for 104,000 museums, 60% more than in 2012. In less than 50 years, museums have quintuplicated. However, museums are still unevenly distributed. 65% of them are located in Western Europe and North America, 12% in Eastern Europe, 8% in Latin America and the Caribbean, 13% in Asia, Pacific states, 1% in Africa, and 0.5% in the Arab states. The first amazing growth of new museums took place in Western countries, where around 3/4 of the museums were established after World War II. In Italy, 84% of her 5,000 museums were founded after 1960. Lately, the boom has been taking place in the urbanizing and developing countries, first in Latin America, then in the Asia-Pacific region. Diversity has become a key word in the museum community. Facing the global changes in society and looking for the museum of the future, ICOM 2016 General Conference in Milan decided to update the museum definition. The first ICOM definition of museum was approved in 1974 and was based on the results of the Round Table of Santiago de Chile on the importance of museums in contemporary world. The Round Table was organized in 1972 by UNESCO and ICOM. It is considered a turning point in the history of museology and brought attention to the social role of museums. The 1974 ICOM first museum definition was a museum is a non-profit making permanent institution in the service of society and its development, open to the public, which acquires, conserves, researches, communicates, and exhibits for purposes of study, education, and enjoyment, material evidence of man and his environment. This definition was changed slightly in 2007, introducing the terms tangible, intangible heritage instead of material evidence of man. In the last 15 years, this definition did not change. A first proposal of new definition was rejected by ICOM 2019 General Conference in Kyoto for several reasons. ICOM members criticized the lack of time for the discussion of the proposal, its ambiguous terms, sometimes impossible to translate, and its approach that jeopardized the museum-specific identity, from institution of conservation and promotion of heritage to multivalent spaces for human rights. The proposal appeared more an ideological manifesto than a shared definition that could unite the museum community. In 2020, ICOM Executive Board appointed a new standing committee called ICOM Define to develop a new participatory methodology to update the definition. Under the presidency of Bruno Brulon and Lauren Bonilla Merchav, in 18 months, ICOM Define carried out 4 rounds of consultation and collected the choices made by 126 ICOM committees. On 21st August 2022, under my presidency in Prague, the new proposal was enthusiastically approved by 93% of ICOM General Assembly. The first sentence of the new definition contains key words, key terms that were already present in the previous one. A museum is a not-for-profit, permanent institution in the service of society that researches, collects, conserves, interprets, and exhibits tangible and intangible heritage. The second and third sentences of the new definition include many innovative concepts. Open to the public, accessible and inclusive, museum foster diversity and sustainability. Museums operate and communicate ethically, professionally, and with the participation of communities, offering varied experiences for education, enjoyment, reflection, and knowledge sharing. Open to the public, communication, education, and enjoyment were part of the old definition. Accessibility, inclusiveness, diversity, sustainability, ethics, professionalism, participation, communities, knowledge sharing are new innovative terms and concepts. Each term of the new definition expresses one of the challenges that museums face. The new definition reflects what museums are today and paves the way to the museum of the future. The new definition expresses the geographical, cultural, and professional diversity of the global museum community. Each museum, regardless its dimension, typology, collection, property, location, may find that its mission, values, and activities are taken into account in the new ICOM definition. The new definition aligns with the UNESCO 2015 recommendation on the social role of Museum, as well as with the United Nations Agenda 2030 and its 17 global goals of sustainable development. Culture plays a pivotal role for the success of United Nations Agenda 2030. Cultural rights, heritage, diversity, and creativity are components of human and sustainable development. No development can be sustainable without culture. Museums are in a unique position to promote inclusion and diversity, support environmental policies and post-pandemic strategies, disseminate scientific information, and foster sustainable practices in the local communities. In 2019, ICOM General Assembly in Kyoto passed the resolution on sustainability and the implementation of Agenda 2030. Achieving the United Nations Sustainable Goals and fighting for climate justice have become the fundamental reference points for ICOM and museums. The devastating effects of the climate change impact our natural cultural heritage globally. Fighting the climate crisis and the loss of biodiversity is an imperative of our times. The COVID-19 emergency has dramatically increased inequality in relation to accessing heritage and participating in cultural life. In a world where 41% of the population has no internet access, innovation must be inclusive, and inclusiveness requires innovation. Under the most exceptional and in difficult circumstances, museums have explored innovative solutions to transform the COVID emergency into a catalyst for new approaches to conservation and for hybrid forms of cultural experience, outreach, and dissemination. Digital technologies have made museums more accessible and engaging. The emphasis is now placed on finding a balance between the digital and the physical museum experience. Optimizing the technology available without compromising the direct contact with collection is one of the most pressing challenges of museums. In conclusion, I would like to say that museums are at a turning point in their history. We are facing unprecedented challenges and opportunities. Respect of diversity, inclusion, and participation are the key words for the future. Communities not only have to be consulted or listened to, communities demand to be involved in decision-making and content development. Access to culture with no discrimination is an indisputable human right and a key indicator of social equity and well-being. These global challenges call for global, coordinated responses. Global cooperation is needed now more than ever. Today's international conference is an important step in the right direction. Thanks for your attention.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Alberto. And it was really wonderful. In fact, I would really, if I'm not muted, yes, I would really, I would totally agree with you on this, that I have witnessed ICOM General Conference Prague last year, and how the International Council of Museum is putting a lot of effort for museum sustainability, and how it is going to bring the change which is visible through the action which we have taken here in Pakistan. So thank you so much for these highly remarkable suggestions. As the title, now I would like to request you all to stay tuned, because as the title of this conference itself is a question and a response to the challenges our museums are going through, the agenda of this one-day conference and exhibition aims to foster such an enriching dialogue on the evolving role of museums in the modern world, exploring the transformation of museums into dynamic and interactive spaces that engage, educate, inspire future generations. For this purpose, we have speakers with diverse backgrounds, but connected with one main cause, that is ensuring the museum's sustainability and relevance in our ever-changing world. For this purpose, I would like to invite Ms. Kuratulden Sonia Kashmiri, who is going to be a moderator for our first session, which is titled Future of the Museum. So please welcome Ms. Sonia. For her background, Ms. Sonia is a researcher, writer, and creative practitioner across many fields with a passion of academia. For the past 2 years, he has conducted extensive research on digital and emerging technologies, especially those related to Web3, such as augmented reality, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence, with a focus on how they can be successfully employed in creative and artistic practices. She has over 20 years of experience on educational platforms within creative industries in the UK, U.A.E, and Pakistan. So please, Sonia. Here you go. Yeah, perfect. You can just mute it. You have to mute it. Perfect. So mute it from here. Not around here. I think it's fine. Okay. Okay. So hello, everyone, and a big welcome again, warm welcome to all of our live audience as well. My name is Sonia, as Sana already mentioned, and I am going to be your moderator for session 1 for today. So the overall or the overarching theme of our session is the future of museums. And with regards to that, I thought I would start with a little intro that I put together for everyone. We'd start with where the word museum actually originated from. It came about as early as the 17th century. And at the time, it was used to denote a university, specifically a university building, sorry, specifically one that was erected in Alexandria by Ptolemy, the philosopher. Okay, so this is how far back the terminology actually goes. Now, with regards to what we know, and the root of the word is Greek. It comes from a Greek root through Latin. So with regards to the general definition as per Oxford Dictionary, or one of our mainstream dictionaries currently, they define a museum as a building used for storing and exhibition of objects, including antiquities, natural history, and works of art. However, as Mr. Alberto Garlandini already mentioned, the definition and the purpose and the responsibility of museums is changing very rapidly. So as recently as August 2022, the International Council of Museums defined a museum as a not-for-profit permanent institution in the service of society that researches, collects, conserves, interprets, and exhibits tangible and intangible heritage. Okay, so this is just a small recap for our live audience, just so that they understand where we are heading. Okay, now with both of these definitions in our minds, we have to start questioning, where do we see museums going in the future? And especially with regards to Pakistan, obviously, as we are based in Pakistan, but also whilst taking a wider lens and looking at what is happening globally. So without going into too much detail, we can safely deduct that these two examples, the definitions of museums show us that museums have changed over time, right? Within their definitions, museums are changing. And of course, many questions will arise in your minds at this point, like, how have they changed? How does this affect me? And where will this head in, like, where is this heading?
So this is exactly what we are going to uncover and discover with you today through our speakers and our illustrious panelists. They have put together a wide variety of content, very diverse content. They're all from diverse backgrounds as well. So I hope you will, stay for the entire session. At the end of this session, if there are any questions by the audience, we will be taking them, okay? So as the speakers go along, you can jot down your questions and share them with us towards the end. All right, so moving on, our very first speaker is Ms. Zaida Qadri. She is the chair of ICR-ICOM, and she is based in Karachi, Pakistan. However, she will be joining us today from abroad. She's currently traveling. So, Zaida has taken out some precious time to join us for this conference today. And Zaida is the chair of International Committee on Regional Museums and a board member of ICOM, the working group for national committees. She is also an executive board member of ICOM-Pakistan and an expert member of ICOMOS Scientific Committee for Archaeology, Sites and Museums. She is a museum and heritage expert and associated with the Culture, Tourism, Antiquities and Archives Department for Government of Sindh. Her successful project, We Connect Makli, the disaster risk management project at the World Heritage Site of Pakistan, is the best practice in context of DRM in Pakistan and has received international recognition. This project was recommended to the UN SDGs Action Award for 2023 by the government of Sindh. She has done extensive work for training of local communities and government officers in Sindh. So Zaida, thank you very much for joining us and welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Okay, so Zaida, yes, we can.
Yeah,
So Zaida, as we discussed,
inviting me to this session, and it's really an honor to be the part of this session. We have our former museum president with us, and the chair of Together for Heritage, and Sana. So I think it's going to be a very interesting session, and we will discuss many things which we need to convey to the museum professionals in Pakistan. Thank you.
Absolutely. So to start off our sessions, Zaida and I will just have a very informal chat, okay? We're not going to go into a presentation immediately so that everyone doesn't feel like we're, giving you guys a lecture. We thought that this would be more of an informal way to start the session. So Zaida, my first question to you is, as a government officer in Pakistan, how do you see the future of museums as per your involvement? Zaida, you're muted.
Now it's fine?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. So I'm saying that if you're talking about the museum, future of museum in Pakistan, so the fact is that we have 89% of museums which are functional under government, supervision. So I mean, it sounds good in a way that we don't need a kind of extra budget, because there is a proper budget allotted to every museum. There is a kind of framework for every museum. There's a staff, and this is something very good, because at the time of COVID-19, when there's a pandemic and many museums were closed and staff was fired, even at that time Pakistani museums have a potential that they were functional, not like in a physical phase, but some of them are able to maintain from online, exhibition or some kind of activities for the audience, like a State Bank Museum of Pakistan, National History Museums like this. So the thing is this. Sorry, it's a kind of privilege for Pakistan that our museums are functional even at that time of the crisis. In this way, Agar, if you see the Pakistani museums are in really a potential phase, but we need to upgrade them as per the recent museum definition and as per the requirements, because this is the age of artificial intelligence. This is the digital age where everything is on fingertip, as our Mr. Alberto has described. So in this phase, if I'm saying, we are a little bit far away to reaching the international standard of museum, which I think we have to upgrade.
Okay, sure. Thank you for that. So on the topic of inclusivity, okay, do you see our museums adhering to the definition that has been put forward by ICOM? Sorry, Zaida, you're muted again.
How? Okay. Okay. So to some extent, because this new museum definition has some great terminologies like inclusiveness, diversity, sustainability, and ethics. So in terms of inclusiveness, all of our museum, which are functional under government, they are inclusive in a way that they exhibit intangible cultural heritage and they exhibit the tangible cultural heritage as well. Like if you see any museum, they have a kind of ajrak and some textile and related to some uh, I am not sure the traditional art craft which is contain the intangible heritage elements over there. They are
Sure.
included and they are diverse as well, because they have a every most of the museums in Pakistan, like they have a Gandhara gallery, you can see in Sindh, you can see in KPK, you can see in Punjab. Similarly, they have a Islamic period which we have seen in every province. So they are diverse, but in terms of sustainability, we're lacking audience connectivity seriously. Our audience are taking museum just as in place to object. They come over there, they see objects and showcases, and they went out. There is no kind of interaction with the objects and the audience. And I'm talking about from the government perspective, because there are 89 museums that are functional under 89% of museums functional under government, and it's a huge amount. And but luckily all these museums, most of them are free of charge, or they charge very minimum fee which is affordable. So if these are at the a phase of interaction with the audience and more interactive, and have a kind of research ability there, I think they will have a wider role to play in economical tourism and in educational phase. So these are few things which we are lacking.
Sure. And with regards to the actual management of museums, what do you think is lacking? Like, how do you think our museums can get themselves to engage more with audiences, more with the public? Yes,
Hello?
are you there? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so if I'm not wrong, your question is what is lacking in museum management, is like this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, see, the museum management is a kind of a teamwork. You need an architect, you need archaeologists, you need historians, the content creator, the designer, everything. In government, framework, we have more people from bureaucratic side. So this artistic or this kind of museum approach is little bit I should say low. So that's why there's a problem in museum management, because if you don't have a background and kind of that vision for how to build your museum architecture, so and the historical content, the visuals, the architecture, the entire design, interior design and everything, so it affects your management as well. Another thing is this, that we have more of the object in the reserves, and these reserves are not very accessible for the researchers, unfortunately. It's need a permission and some kind of long permit matters and everything. But if you see in the other part of the world, the reserves are now open for the researchers. They have a special kind of storage area where researchers can come, they can sit, and they can, take these objects out of the reserve section. They can study and everything. We are trying to build a research area in Jahanjadora Museum in Nawab Shah, but it's still it's just one museum. We have a collection of hundreds and thousands of, from Indus period to Islamic period. It's like we need a research area in each and every museum. But again, for this you need a kind of design for the museum. You need a kind of separate galleries which can for researchers, for policymakers and everything, because even for the kids, when I saw when kids will come here, so they are very curious about objects and everything, but our museums cannot reach the level of the kids, unfortunately. So we are actually working on this. It will take time, but not for one or two museum. I think it has to implement in all of the museum.
So I think my next question would be regarding laws and constitution in Pakistan. What do they say on the matter? Like, do you think it needs to start from the ground up in terms of this change that you are mentioning?
Well, this is very interesting question. We are following the antiquities law since the time of federal department. But after devolution, provinces are, independent to make their own laws and everything. But only the KPK here has, its own provincial law, which identifies separately the museum policy and archaeological excavation policies and everything. But other provinces are still in the struggling phase. Like Sindh has submitted a new Antiquities Act to the assembly, and it's like 1 year it is pending. So the present law which we are following, it is very well described, but it do not have a separate section for the museum, for museum employment, for museum management. It has some sections like for how to borrow museum object, the loan agreements, and these kind of thing. But there is a required a kind of proper museum policy, the hiring of a staff. Like when if you see the hiring of the staff, there's a Sin Public Service Commission or Federal Public Commission who are hiring museum professionals, and and it's lacking kind of proper archaeological and museum professionals. I mean, it's open for everyone. I'm not against of this. We should have people from the sociology or statistic, but those who have studied the field since like 16 years of education, masters, I think they should be have a priority to come in the museum field. And secondly, one of the drawback that our archaeological universities which have archaeological sections, they don't have any museum diploma, they don't have any museum studies in Pakistan, none of the university. uh, there are some university in KPK which offer heritage management course, two universities in Sindh, and they're offering archaeology, but archaeology is different and museumology is different field. Museumology in a specialized field, and we are lacking this education in Pakistan. And one of the said thing which I would like to discuss, that there is no funding opportunity for museum professionals if they are not belong to any university. Like HSC can fund you if you belong to any university, if you're a professor or if you are a student. But if you are an independent researcher, if you are a government employee, you cannot able to get the opportunity of getting grant from HSC. Similarly, there is no heritage foundation or no heritage or museum foundation who can fund your trip to get in training internationally. So these are a few things. Not few things, but these are hurdles that our professionals are continuously struggling. They are like, I saw many students, I saw many researchers, even myself, we are constantly struggle for funds to go abroad, get training, come back and get the initiate any training course for our people. So I think these are big hurdles in museum management.
Absolutely. But since we're here to talk about the future of museums, I think my last question would be, where would you like to see museums going in the future then? Where do you want to see them heading?
Well, one of the interesting and one of the privilege in Pakistan is that our museum professionals are recognized internationally. Like three of museum professional female are on the board of ICOM, the International Committee for Museums. I would like to mention the name, the Dr. Sana Durrani. She is on the board of SPEC. SPEC is the regional alliance, and me, the chair of ICR, Dr. Asma Ibrahim, the chair of Money Museums. So it's really a kind of bright future that our professionals are internationally recognized and they are able to contribute in international as well as local management issues, policy making, and everything. But I mean, still, like if I'm saying that the new museum definition is not yet adopted by Pakistani museums, which is pity. We have to adopt the new definition of museums. And if I'm saying what is the future of museum, so it's bright, but we need some policies, we need framework, we need staff to train to enhance the abilities. I'm not saying that we are on the I mean, we are not meeting the international standard. We do somehow, but for more, we need to work hard as well. We need to identify the research area. We need to make a storage capacity in our museums. We need to hire a right person to the right position. And above of all, like sustainable development goals can very much important for museum future as well. Like goal 17 is partnership. If we have a partnership with our regional alliance like Asia Pacific Museum, which include Japan, Korea, these are the countries who are very good in museums and they are very skilled in this. If we have a kind of collaboration with them, I think we are able to achieve our goals in a very short terms, and we are able to get trainings for our museum professionals as well, because Asia Pacific Alliance is a kind of a platform which is give many assistance. But again, our government and our museum professional, those who are in power, need to recognize the way how can we connect each other.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Zaida, and we hope you'll stay around for the remainder of the session. If any of the audience here have questions, please save them up for later. We will take questions at the end of the session. Thank you again, Zaida. Okay, so up next we have our second speaker. Her name is Ayman Fatima, and she is an educationist and a board member of MAP. So Ayman, are you there? Yes, you are. Okay. Hello. Ayman Fatma is an anthropologist, a heritage mapper, and museum expert from Lahore. She serves on the board of Museum Association of Pakistan and teaches research methods and heritage-based design at the Beacon House National University. For the past 13 years, Ayman has been dedicated to promoting cultural justice and rights-based destination management policies for economic sustainability of indigenous communities. In the past, she managed collaborative projects for National Institute of Folk and Traditional Heritage in Islamabad and Smithsonian Museum of USA, where she was responsible for upgradation of museum dioramas and digitization of audio and video archives. During her tenure, digital audio tour service devices and phone app tours were introduced in 6 different languages at the Lok Virsa Museum as well. At the same institution, she curated the exhibition, The Last Chord, to highlight endangered musical instruments of Pakistan. Ayman has consulted for UNESCO and produced TV shows for Pakistan Television and BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. She was also involved in upgrading projects of Chitral Museum, Kailash Museum, and the Children Complex Library in Lahore. So Ayman has joined us, and she will be speaking about museums as a place of experiences. Okay, so
Sonia.
welcome, Eamon.
Hello. Thank you, Sonia. Can you please allow screen sharing because I've put up a presentation. We can talk about tools and strategies of museums of future, and then we can also look at some examples.
Sure.
I can share my screen now. Yeah. Thank you, Sana. All right. So I think Dr. Issam has really summed up the preface for this conversation, and Senor Alberto has also mentioned the past of few museums and the present situation and what we're looking forward in the future. And when I was putting up this presentation, I was also thinking that without looking at the past of the museums, without understanding the background, we cannot look at the future. And because we are from Pakistan and we are a country that was colonized by British Empire for a long time, we cannot deny the part that museums pretty much all over the world have been products of colonization, where we constantly use the term collection of artifacts. So yes, these empires were collecting objects, they were collecting diamonds, they were collecting exotic items, like Dr. Assam mentioned, and they were putting them together in some private collection or maybe the empire's collection. Like this very famous mechanical tiger of Tipu Sultan. Tipu lost his battle to the Brits in 1799 and it ended up in Edinburgh Castle. And then British Museum, Victoria and Albert Museum, and the collection of Lahore Museum is also a reflection of that era of colonization. But what is the difference between these trophies and your drawing room shelf where we are decorating all these things? So I think it is the experience. That's what we should talk about. We are going to talk about the museums today. They understand that we have to come up with new appearances. So this is an image I took from Oxford Museum of Natural History. The building itself was constructed around 19th century, but they have improved. They have the dioramas have enhanced. It keeps on changing. That's something that we have to really work on, especially in Pakistan. And then museums are education. So Lahore Museum, where we're sitting today, I'm not, but rest of the audiences, they have these amazing, really nice initiatives where children are giving tours. There are so many talks. So museum, it's not just limited to this object-oriented approach. We are moving towards this experiential approach, which is interactive, and it is also inclusive. Um, the museums today, I would say, they are mediums of institutionalized collective heritage, which is more sensitive. We are talking about restorative justice, accessibility, equal representation, and even repartition in some cases. So while we look at the museums, unfortunately, there are a lot of challenges. There is a shifting trend in human environment, climate change, migration, conflict. For Muslim countries, religious conflict is a major challenge. And then all over the world, we recently dealt with COVID pandemic when all the museums and galleries were closed and we had to think of alternate mediums. So in such circumstances, what should be the future of museum? I would say that as human conditions are changing, museums' priorities and trends are also shifting. So museums today, they are reimagined, they need to be reimagined. Some countries have started working on it and they have come up with successful interventions, which we can look at as case studies. And I would say that other countries can learn from them and incorporate that. While we are dealing with, like Zaida mentioned, that there are funds, but then we are also dealing with lack of resources. In that case, what can we do? So maybe we can look at newer technology, we can look at virtual outreach in cases of education of children. We can look at better and interactive experiences. We also have to be very careful about empathy and social sensitivities, so indigenous rights, and also decolonization. That's something that we have to really think about. So let's move on to museums of future. What are museums of future? I would say that futuristic museums are places or spaces that invest in transformative design experiences. So this is an image of Dallas Museum in USA. Museums all over the world are working on improving their dioramas. And then they're also sort of playing with mixed reality. So this is an image of Mango exhibit. And I would say that we are using today technology as a mean of accessibility. That's what we are also teaching our students in Beacon House University. We are working on incorporating technology, but that's not just limited to museums going virtual. Like, it was very common that during COVID, all the museums felt the need to make their own website. Some museums also put up their galleries, including Lahore Museum, on Google Arts and Culture Institution, which was an excellent intervention, low-cost intervention as well. So museums are experimenting with new mediums. Museums also look at digitizing their archives. So at LOCRISA, we digitize the archives, but is that accessible to public? So Al Khan Museum came up with this solution where they made a website. And the interesting thing about this is that we sort of do not look at songs and music or sound as part of the museum. Museum has always been, well, when I was growing up, I used to feel bored in museums, because for me, it was like, okay, we are digging up something from lands of the past, like these skeletons of the dinosaurs, and we are putting these artifacts in shelves, and what else? So museums of future, they are interacting with a wider range of audience. So there are mobile apps. You can, it's just on the palm of your hand. It's on your laptop. I'm right now sitting in thousands of miles away from Pakistan in USA, and I'm still able to interact with all of you. I'm still able to enter any museum's gallery. I'm able to look at Lahore Museum's gallery. So that is all what digitization or technology has made us able to. So at LOCRISA Museum, we made this phone app where the tours, audio tours, were translated into 6 languages. And the idea was that people from different languages, they should be included in that experience of going to a museum. If somebody comes to a museum and all the interactive boards are in English or even Urdu, what about other people who speak Pashto or Sindhi? So they also need to go through that experience. They have to enjoy it. And education is not the only part of it. The interactive experience, I think it starts from entertainment. It starts from embracing our heritage and then celebrating it. So museums of future or futuristic museums, they are looking at an improved set of communication. For that, I use this word inclusion. So inclusion also comes with people who come from a background of physical or social challenges. So these are some examples that we have to look at, and we also should work about, or I think that's a problem that we somehow ignore whenever we talk about museums or festivals or setting up any building or any program or talk. Like right now, we are organizing this talk, and the excellent part of this conversation is that it's a hybrid of both physical and virtual. But what about people who cannot hear? So that, I would say that we have to admit and accept that that's lacking in our intervention. So museums have to make a conscious effort, and some museums, even in Pakistan, State Bank Museum, Zaida mentioned Dr. Asma, they have converted the museum tactile. So there are these 3D printed transparent braille labels next to all the artifacts, and then the audience that cannot see properly, they are invited to touch. And in Goa too, Siddharth Shah, he came up with this idea of converting traditional or classical paintings into tactile artifacts. We don't have to, we grew up with this concept that whenever you go to museum, don't touch anything. Like our mothers also tell us that when you go to drawing room, there are so many crystal decoration pieces, don't touch anything. But today museums, they encourage people to touch. They encourage kids to touch. They encourage their participants or audience to touch. So Philadelphia has a Please Touch Museum. That's the actual name of the museum. And then museums are also working on a more interactive product design. They're changing their communication. This is a very beautiful example of Place Hampy Museum, because I was talking about interaction, increase or better communication. So Place Hampy Museum came up with this solution where people sitting anywhere in the world or in mobile exhibits, they can look at archaeological sites. So what they do is they put a live camera in archaeological sites like Zuma Sky, and they put up these 4D installations where audience can not only see, but they can also hear the sounds of that space, and they can also, in some cases, they can experience how it feels where to how it feels to stand in that area, like wind blowing on your face or something. And similarly, museums in the future, they have to look at, and they have started looking at VR and even AR supported interactive dioramas. So Zurich Museum, this is a video, I'll try to play it. Zurich Museum actually has these beautiful interactive books where you can just touch it and then, yeah, it's right in front of you. You touch it and then all the display comes live in front of you. I think that is very important for human understanding, and this is some sort of visual experience or sensory experience that is more likely to stay with you. Similarly, there are these apps like RTView app. Whenever you place it in front of, if you put your mobile or tablet in front of an image or artifact, you can look at a video of information about that object. So this is, these are some examples of technology that museums can use and have been using in the future. I also try to play this video if this works. Yeah. So each character tells its own story. We are not looking at just the image of the bird. We are experiencing what the bird looks like, how the bird speaks, how the bird sounds like, what that painting must have felt in that particular era. This is another very good example and one of my favorite examples. How would you feel if M.F. Hussain, late M.F. Hussain, who was a brilliant artist, he comes alive and starts talking to you? The museums of future, they have been using AI-generated holograms to bring information out to their audience, and audience can experience that. In fact, a National History Museum also has the hologram of Quaid-e-Azam in their basement. We are not allowed to make their videos, but that is some sort of interaction that we can use. And I think Children Complex Library in Lahore is also working on constructing holograms, and there are these museums in China where kids can experience dinosaurs moving around. So AI image holograms are another solution that museums can use in the future. Then light projected images are a solution that is simple. It's not very costly. We all know that during wars, these I don't know, I would say it is a war, but Taliban destroyed some statues of Buddha in Bamiyan in Afghanistan, and similar events happened in Iraq too. And then there are these natural calamities like Notre Dame Museum, Notre Dame Church Museum got on fire. In that case, we unfortunately end up losing a lot of heritage, a lot of artifacts. So Zhang and Liang from China, they came up with a solution where they reconstructed heritage with light projections. And reconstruction is very interesting for the generation of today that is going meta, and there's so many games related to museums. Well, the museums, in a conclusion, I would say that the Museum of Future has moved from the traditional object-oriented approach to a lived experiential approach. That's what Sonia was mentioning in the beginning. And this is an era where museum design has become more responsible, progressive, and politically sensitive. Earlier, when we would think about museum as some artifact-heavy space with archaeological interventions, we are not limited to that field. And this reconstruction of Ekved Girl is a very good example of that. So in Denmark, there was this 3,000-year-old girl bride buried in oak coffin, and we didn't know what she looked like, how she would have lived her life. So she was recreated digitally, and now you can go to National Museum and experience a hyper real diorama where you can interact with that girl, you can talk to her. So while we are embracing technology, we are also retaining our connection to past in the form of living museums, site-specific artistic interventions, and one of that example is right there in Lahore Museum where you're sitting. So I think after the end of these sessions, you can go and experience what artists have reimagined museums. With this, I will conclude my presentation. I was once working with Parhar community in Cholistan, and they said something very beautiful, that content and expression evolves, but the tradition sustains. And that is what the Museum of Future holds. Thank you, Sonia.
The mic is off. You are muted, Sonia.
I am so sorry. Can you all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, sorry, my apologies. As I said to my live audience already, Ayman is actually joining us from the US. I forgot to mention that earlier. So a double thank you to Ayman, because she's in a completely different time zone to all the rest of us right now. And thank you, Ayman, for a very informative and, of course, an excellent presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so again, for the live audience, I will request that if you have any questions, you can save them for the end of the session. And we are now going to move on to our next speaker, who is also joining us online from the Philippines. So that's Miss Angel Gonzalez. Angel, welcome.
Hi.
And thank you so much for taking out time to join all of us over here. I think in the next segment, we will give you some audience shots as well, so you can see how many people are actually attending live besides the Zoom session here. So Angel is a multidisciplinary artist hailing from the beautiful country of Philippines, and her name is synonymous with artistic innovation and creative excellence. She has an unwavering commitment to the world of art, and she's left an indelible mark as both an artist and an international art director, reshaping boundaries of contemporary artistic expression. As the founder of Neoma Galleria in Philippines, Angel has spearheaded a revolutionary approach to art curation and organization. Her visionary leadership has not only elevated the local art scene, but has also garnered international acclaim. And her ability to curate and organize prestigious art exhibits in various nations has set her on a path of unparalleled recognition. Angel's artistic journey extends far beyond her homeland, and her works have graced exhibitions and galleries across the world, with artworks resonating with audiences from diverse cultures and backgrounds. Angel's presence in the global art world is a testament to her ability to speak a universal language through her creations. In 2022, Angel's immense contribution to the art world were acknowledged with the prestigious International Excellence Award, where she was honored as an outstanding young art director of the year. This accolade solidified her status as a trailblazing force in the art industry, and it is an achievement that was celebrated on the iconic New York Times Square billboard, courtesy of Vision Art Media in January 2023. So congratulations on that, Angel, that's huge. As the Philippine delegate of Together for Heritage, Angel actively champions preservation and celebration of cultural heritage. In addition, she is one of the keynote speakers in ICOM Family Forum in Prague at the International Virtual Conferences of Museums. So Angel will be speaking today about how the Museum of the Future can bind people around the globe and finally break the barriers of borders. So thank you very much, Angel, and I will hand it over to you.
Hi, thank you so much for that introduction. So, thank you so much for Lahore Museum for having this conference. And I think that this is the future of the museum. You know, we are gathered around the world and we are having this conference online and we are together here now and we are actually living the museum of the future. So I have slides here that I wanted to screen share. Can I screen share it? Can we do? Yes, thank you. Sorry. Sorry, wait, I cannot screen share.
Are you able to screen share? We've allowed it.
Yes. Wait.
Yeah, she can share.
I cannot screen share.
Okay, I'll make you co-host then.
Okay, just give us a minute.
Sorry.
No, it's not. No.
Ay, my love, paano ko?
There is co-host ka pa niya, ano? Why is that? Remove. Fine. Oh. No, you're not. This is okay. वो host ही नहीं बन रहा ना. Let's go down a second step. Just mute करना. Start again. Allow them multiple. No. Try again.
I cannot screen share the presentation. Sorry. How can I send it to you?
Okay, now try. That's it. Try again. Please, Angel, can you try now?
Yes, I'm trying, but it says that I cannot screen share.
You can send it to any of us. We can share it from here.
Yes, I can share it to you, Dr. Rasambe.
Yes. So meanwhile, she can go.
Angel, in the meantime, if you want to just start, with the baseline of your presentation and.
Can you send it on WhatsApp? You are muted.
Reclaim host.
I'm sending it to Sana.
Okay. Check, Sana, if you receive it.
No, Angel,
Try again. We just need you co-host, Angel.
it will work now.
That's like the last resort. It has to work now.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. Are you able to share now?
Yes, I sent it to Sana. This email.
You can share directly now because we've made you co-host as well.
Yeah, but there is a problem in the screen sharing of in my end.
At your end, okay.
So I guess my presentation for today is just a quick thing about an informal museum of the future, because we are planning this conference for such a long time already, and I'm so glad that we are doing this today. And the museum of the future that I will be discussing is about just three clip art that I wanted to share. It's the link, the Wi-Fi, and also the future of the museum. So the past, it's the link. It's connecting the historical archives. It connects us to the history. So most of us, the museum is like a collection of archaeologists, artifacts that we wanted to show the public. But apparently the world is changing, and the link becomes a chain for us, and that we stuck in the past and we kept on showing these past things, and we cannot link it into the present moment and to the future. And the next discussion will be the present, which is our Wi-Fi world, which is, it breaks the barriers and connecting people around the globe. And it empowers us to access new information and drive innovation. And in a connected world, everything becomes so accessible, like today that we are having this conference. That I am in the Philippines, and Ayman is in the US, and as she discussed about the future of the museum, and she showed us everything that is happening in different parts of the world. And that means that Wi-Fi connects us all around the world, and we can actually bring together people in one platform. And apparently my slides are not yet working, and I just wanted to share one of the programs that we've created in the Philippines, which gathered 143 artists around the globe that shows around different art practices. And we created this virtual reality museum and a gallery that I wanted to show in the video, but apparently my slides are not working yet. So maybe I could go back to it later. Yeah. Thank you so much for showing. Okay, so I think I'm in the part of the Wi-Fi thing.
Sorry, Angel, you can start now. We have your
Yeah. So I already discussed it. Can you go
Yes.
up more further?
Sure.
Yes. So
See. Fine. Okay, there you go.
yeah, it can go up more. I don't know if the video is gonna play now. So it's the present that connects us all over the world. And this is what we've done for the past years, that we have created international virtual art exhibition, and it connects the world. And the world is so small that everybody can connect. And we have a video. I don't think that it's working, but we have created a virtual reality video that consists of all the artworks that we had. So the future of the museum that I wanted to discuss is that we have to bridge the gap between the link, which is our past, and the Wi-Fi world, which is connecting us and linking the past to learn and innovate for the future. As Ayman has been showing us a lot of things that is happening through the galleries and the museums around the world, we are using Wi-Fi to connect globally and create borderless museum experience. And after the pandemic, some of the museums have created 3D virtual museum that allows people to get in the museum without leaving their homes. So can we go up a little at the next page? So according to ICOMs, can you throw it back? So according to ICOMs and the past conferences, the museum sustainability goals should align with the evolving world, which is we have to foster positive change, supporting climate action, fostering inclusivity, tackling social isolation, and improving mental health. And that's the future of our museum. We have to create more and more activities and research and lectures and conferences like this, so we'll have a better and innovative approach in building our future of the museum. So I think that the future of our museum should focus on unity and oneness, bringing all the nations together through shared history. So if we were discussing Pakistani history, I think we can share it all over the world, and all over the world will actually learn the history of Pakistan, and also Pakistan will also learn about the history of our country as well. So I think that's the future of the museum, that we share cultures and heritage to each other. And we have to embrace that the museum as a living book containing the past, the present, and the future. And the future of the museum is that the museum has its reflective power. We have to museum hold the power to reflect and shape the society. So we have to actually do some research and innovation, like we have an AI already, ChatGPT, virtual reality, and there are a lot that we can put into the future of our museums. And you know, museums, they stand firm through our adversities and they adapt to change. And we know that the future will be the museum that we have a collective effort to build in. So the power of museum sustainability can be achieved through responsible practices and resource management, and innovating with digitalization to enhance accessibility, empowering the community through educational initiatives such as the exhibition that will gonna be open later at 6 p.m. And there's a question. It's kind of choppy.
Sorry, I'm just trying to mute this particular participant. I will have to actually remove them.
So we can actually go to the next slide. That we have to empower the community through educational initiatives, such as this conference that we are having. And thank you for Together for Heritage and also for the Museum of Lahore for making this happen. And I think that there will be more in the future in the museum that we're going to be sharing different cultures and heritage, and also projects that will build as we evolve in it. So the Museum of the Future is an evolving entity that bridges the past, the present, and the future. It harnesses the power of connectivity to unite the world. Together, we can build a future where museums inspire and educate, shaping a better world for generations to come. So I think that's all of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for that, Angel. And as I said previously, all questions for the end of the session, please, so that we can press on with our next speakers. Sorry. So moving on. Thank you, Angel. And
Yes, Sonia.
we will take questions for you in the next session. So moving on, we will have, sorry, just a minute. Just a minute, speaker. Okay. We will have our next speaker up, who is Miss Arshia Sohail from the Lahore Museum. Arshia is currently working as the Restoration and Exhibition Officer at the prestigious Lahore Museum. She obtained her MA Honours in Visual Arts from National College of Arts, Lahore, where she has also previously served as a faculty member. Amongst her past professional experiences, she was a curator at the Army Museum of Lahore and was assistant curator at Zahurul Ikhlaq Gallery. Arshia is an artist in her own right and has exhibited several solo shows and won awards for her works, both internationally and within Pakistan. She collected the Merit Award at 2021 International Art Exhibition Skies, which was a virtual art room gallery. She was a nominee for Bloom Award by Warsteiner, where she won second place from out of 2,300 artists and who were participating from 93 countries at Art Dusseldorf in Germany. Arshia has also previously won the Young Artist Award at both 2016 and 2017 Annual Young Artist Exhibition by Lahore Arts Council. So Arshia will be joining us today to speak about the future of museums with emerging technologies in times to come. So Arshia, over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, evolving museums, how museums are evolving and why they are introducing emerging technologies to our future generations. In this modern era, museums are evolving from static institutions to learning centers. It can be in terms of museum exhibits and for education purposes. Museums around the world are now focusing on these goals, such as engaging visitors
through interactive exhibits, immersive experiences, advanced technologies, and workshops. Having these mindsets of curators and museum professionals, museums are becoming more accessible to diverse audience, including children, seniors, and individuals with disabilities, by designing exhibits and spaces with inclusivity in mind. The future of museum in digital age. As we talked about evolving museums in digital age, next I'd like to move on and discuss why museum professionals need to use technology and what are the steps to be followed while combining the emerging technologies with classical displays. One of these steps is digitization of museums is to make accessible and allowing visitors access the museum experience. While embracing digital tools, museums shall emphasize technologies as well as the importance of the physical museum experiences to offer an emotional connection to the history and culture. Museums have long been considered traditional in their approach, but that is changing because museums need their collections to make them allowing virtual visitors to explore artifacts, artwork, and museum collections with the help of digitization. Next step is technology forming museums to virtual museums. Virtual museums can also serve as valuable addition and direct impact on educational resources, enabling people on worldwide to explore art, history, culture from space of their own comfort. Virtual museums shall be purpose-built using advanced technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, holographic, artificial intelligence, engaging displays like projection mapping, app guides, and even visitor flow technology. Implementation of these emerging technologies are providing immersive experiences to visitors. Currently, the popularity of augmented reality and VR around the world is to make history feel alive and more present, both inside and outside the museum spaces, even to captivate audience. In my view, people no longer to go museums just to see the art. Most expect a great experience where they can have fun and fun with friends and family and learn something new. The main reasons why museums, heritage sites, and many other cultural institutions are adopting and incorporating technologies are engaging audience, brings artifacts to life, adds the element of fun and interactive to give visitors more reasons to visit and revisit the museum with the people of their own choices. Is what the video of Museum of the Dog, New York, as an example to observe the use of technology with combination of traditional displays. Please have a look. Sound. I hope most of us might be making our mind to visit this museum. So, being their representative, I am taking it as an opportunity to share that Lahore Museum is also working to expand and integrate digital technologies with our traditional exhibits for more customized experience to visitors. Besides preserving the traditional techniques, in the longer run, Lahore Museum intends to implement modern technologies based on AI, AR, VR, which are discussed earlier. Recently, Lahore Museum is arranged a summer camp as educational program where AI-generated tools were also introduced to students along with other conventional as well modern techniques to train our future generations. Lahore Museum also believes in working with community by engaging them and making collaborations with local and international communities to co-curate exhibits and share stories that resonate with the heritage and culture. These are some pictures of activity on AI. हाँ जी मैं वेट कर
Arshia, your presentation is visible, so you can either.
Vision of the museum. I'd like to conclude that museums and other cultural institutions shall continue to evolve to meet the fastest changing needs of society, acting as custodians of culture and knowledge while, while actively engaging with the world to preserve the traditions, culture, and heritage. We are talking about the future of the museum with emerging technologies. In times to come, we must understand the best use of digital is not to make you aware of the technology, but to make you aware of the art. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
So thank you again for that, Ashia, and our apologies yet again to all of our online participants for the continued power disruptions. This is Pakistan after all. So moving on, we're going to have our final speaker for the session. And we have coming up next, one of our artists who's actually exhibiting today as well, Sana Durrani, who is an artist and an educationist based from Lahore. So Sana is primarily an architect and an educator, an artist as well, who graduated from the National College of Arts with a bachelor's in architecture as well as a diploma in classical architecture from the Institute of Classical Architecture and Art in New York City. She's been an educationist for 10 years, and she teaches interdisciplinary design with subjects such as epistemology, sacred geometry, and the intervention of art and design thinking for sustainability. Her digital art practice explores sacred geometry, its history, as well as its contemporary role in art and architecture. So today, Sadaf will be joining us to speak about the future of museums through the lens of emerging technologies as a practitioner.
I want to stand here. You might be searching. मैंने कर दिया इसको open, ठीक है? You can just wait.
Hello, assalamu alaikum everyone. Do you see the emergent technologies interfering with our very basic things of just, wanting to have a little talk? But nonetheless, I think we have to keep up with the times. This is an intervention in the norms. And I think the best way to move forward is perhaps to go along with it. A few of our panelists from the talk that I was a part of have already really wonderfully explained on all the things that I was going to speak about. But
you can,
yeah.
Sana, do you hear us? We don't hear you, and I think it's suspended. Yeah.
The emerging technologies that we've been talking about with AR and VR, we have been able to bring confidence and visit their work, choosing a part or an artifact from the museum and bring it to the visitor in a newer light, in a new way, which is perhaps more immersive, more interactive, and memorable experience. So a few artists, for example, he's made an installation with visual design that reflects the movement of the visitor right at the beginning of where the entrance is. What that does is that not only the visual or the physical presence of a person at the museum, it also incorporates the movement, and that gives the pieces of time painting and space is recorded and then visited in multi-dimensional visual form. Now, these same man was not there for before time and was happy now that the immersive experience is going beyond the visual. So children can opportunity I will talk about right now, which is the inclusivity of audiences. So as a common person who comes to visit, it is very important for them to just have that visual experience. Whereas it is more so important to involve the other four senses. The touch and the sound or the smell of a certain space. Like even just when you go to the manuscript or what happens is that you are able to see all of that text, but it's only limited to the people who have this. So all that they've been familiar with is perhaps the way. So what do you do for them? How do you take that artwork? How do you take that ancient history of manuscript writing on the basis of all information that has passed on to us over centuries? How do you take that existing to a person like that? Perhaps maybe with sound, or maybe an audio or a soundscape. So maybe there a little inclusivity in very minimal ways that you can take to the in future of just this state. हमें बहुत सारे Okay. Okay. I wanted to talk about how spaces transcend from the physical realm to the virtual now, or being accessible, or a museum to be accessible to the common man has gone forward. It is not determined by a physical space. On your own museum, but be able to have a little visit or a virtual visit in a multi-dimensional space, maybe from the comfort of your home, but be able to go and visit these places and transcend the physical. That Okay. The exhibit at the Lahore Museum today also involves a lot of AR, which is augmented reality. What it does is bring a very normal, regular area and augment a piece of digital in it. Now, it can be in conjunction with virtual reality also, but as an educationist, this is where art institutes and art students can be involved, because whatever we are doing right now and the things that I'm talking about is from the lens of an educationist on how this can help a visitor who needs learning and a person who's had the education of exhibiting this sort of artwork. So imagine you're standing next to an art piece at the Lahore Museum. Yeah. So you're standing next to an artifact at the Lahore Museum, and you can see it come to life just from the access of your smartphone. The accessibility of a smartphone that public and common man has now should enable this. A very great initiative that the Lahore Museum's done already is have a QR code right next to various things. Now that QR code for now is just text-based, but eventually this QR code can augment reality also, and maybe on the click of your phone, you can perhaps see the working of that artifact, the ancient history related to it, and just immerse yourself in a more non-text-based or non-reading based, and feel maybe nice and create a little experience for whoever that visitor is. Virtual reality, on the other end, same thing. You can immerse yourself in a digital environment. All these things placed in, the exhibits that not just our museum, but other museums also have, they have been taken out from their original environment. And that is what makes, actually the story that museum tells is what makes that memorable. So maybe even if there's artillery placed in, let's say at the colonial gallery here, maybe the environment it's come from could be the virtual aspect or the digital immersiveness of that exhibit. And you can take yourself to where it's come from, or the original environment, or the actual habitat, or the feel and look of the expanse of where it's actually originated from. Interactive zones. New museums in Pakistan are taking advantage of this. The National History Museum has a lot of interactivity, a lot of spaces that it's covered into providing audios, visuals, and touchable situations.
Sorry, is
Same
there
things you can do
any
with an
like
artifact. So I
screen
know how it
share,
needs to be
please?
preserved in a certain way, but just the touch and feel, maybe even of a replica, could be something that can be looked into. Multimedia installations. This is for all the things, for all the artifacts that have been stolen from us. We need
There's
them
no
back,
screen.
yes, but still, maybe we can bring them back in virtuality, just so that one, it asserts our right on it as the region, and otherwise, people who do not have access to foreign museums or countries or better experiences can, suffice from those. Digital storytelling is a great way to involve community and children, especially teaching history, civilization, and where we come from will become more and more difficult eventually to the new age kids. But I think anything that has been taught to a child with visuals and with creative means is always retained. So digital storytelling with having all sorts of war and history can, I think, really be beneficial in the future. Projection mapping, obviously, the new immersive way of experiencing paintings is a great way. I think it just brings a lot of feel, even to pieces that may have been may need restoration and have perhaps been put up somewhere else or are not in a permanent exhibit, can still be projected and shown as a moving exhibit. Okay, so what we're doing today is reflecting on how all of you have technically come together to witness everybody co-creating opportunities for us, for students, for artists, for learners, and it's entirely in the space of wanting a better future for the museums and looking into the future of our museum. I will not deny the fact that the Lahore Museum has one of the greatest collections of this region, and I think that is the power it holds as the actual artifacts that it houses. But taking these artifacts perhaps to other areas in the same virtual or augmented thing and sharing this experience of what we have with exhibits around the world and what they have could be a great shared source of our power, that this is what we have. Inclusivity, accessibility, I already spoke about. This is something that really needs consideration, maybe starting from a ramp to access the place, but later on to make art and the feel of art go to visually or hearing impaired people, which means that you can have 3D printed paintings so that people can touch and feel what it looks like, or having things on braille and bringing the accessibility to anybody who needs it. Basically, what we're looking into doing is creating a museum that creates lasting and memorable feel, and not that one-time visit only. It should have you wanting to come to the Lahore Museum or any museum for the experience every now and then. The visitor should be called back. The museum should call the visitor back, and it should be a reoccurring, memorable experience that you want to feel and see in the future. Thank you. That's my little 2 bits.
Thank you very much for that, Sana. And we would just like to close the session and hand over to Sana because we're actually running late. So again, आपके सवाल और जवाब, I know most of the session was in English, and हम सब इतने अंग्रेजी में fast नहीं है. But what I would recommend is save your questions, and once all the sessions are over, we will be here to answer any queries that you may have. ठीक है जी? So thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much to all of our online panelists and speakers. And we are now going to hand over to Sana, who will introduce the second session for today. Thank you, everyone. And this is Sonia signing off.
Thank you so much, Sonia, for moderating it so well. And I'm actually, we are running out of time, but I believe that such community-led programs and collaboration of such sorts of are a great place to plan the future of museum. And I'm really grateful to Mr. Mohammad Usman, Director of the Lahore Museum, Mr. Alberto, and Professor Dr. Assam Al-Najadi for supporting this initiative. On this note, we will end this session and we'll move to our in-person session, but our Zoom participants can stay online on the same link to be a part of next two sessions. And we will try to make this session uninterrupted for Zoom participants. So for this purpose, I would like to call on stage Ms. Mina Harun, who is an interdisciplinary visual artist, who has also been serving as Assistant Director of Fine Arts at the Lahore Arts Council, Alhambra, since 2017. Ms. Mina has curated various exhibitions at Alhambra Art Gallery, some of the notable locations including Biennale Collegium New Oceania, Soho University Museum in China, Antidote Dubai, Koil Gallery, Art Shop Gallery, and Satarang Gallery. So I would like to call on stage Mina Harun. Please conduct our next session, and please invite our speakers on stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to introduce our four speakers for this session. First of all, Dr. Rukhsana David, President of ICOM-Pakistan, Principal, Kinnaird College, Lahore. Ma'am, please come up on the stage. Next, we have with us is Ms. Qudsiya Rahim, Executive Director, Lahore Biennale Foundation. Third, we have with us is Ms. Uzma Usmani, Keeper Painting, Lahore Museum. And the last one, Ms. Mariam Hanif Khan, co-founder and curator, Art Soch Contemporary. Mariam, please come up on the stage. So I will formally introduce each one of our speakers, Professor Dr. Rukhsana David, who is principal of Kinnaird College for Women, Lahore. She has a PhD in history and received leadership training at Harvard Graduate School of Education, Executive Development Center, LAMS, and from Education Department of Glasgow, UK. Professor Rukhsana is a member of various boards, including Lahore Arts Council, and she's currently president of ICOM-Pakistan. Ms. Uzma Usmani has been working at the Lahore Museum from 2004 till date. Over the 30 years, she has worked there as a restoration and exhibition officer and has curated more than 30 exhibitions at the museum. She has been trained in museum management and museology at different institutions in the USA, England, and Korea. She's currently working as a curator, keeper painting, art conservator at the Lahore Museum, and is also working as a senior restorer for the restoration of Sadiq mural project in Lahore. Ms. Qudsiya Rahim is the executive director of Lahore Biennale Foundation. She's also the co-founder of Lahore Biennale Foundation. She previously worked as an associate professor and curator at the Zurul Ikhlaq Gallery, National College of Arts. Qudsiya is also the founder of Research Cell, which is part of the Lahore Benali Foundation. She has been involved in independent tutorial projects such as TED and Everything is Embedded in History. Her publications include Lahore Benali 2 Guidebook, Lahore Benali 2 Catalog, Lahore Benali 1 Guidebook, Lahore Benali 1 Catalog, Everything is Embedded in History, and My East is Your West. And at last, we have with us Ms. Mariam Hanif Khan. She's a visual artist, educator, and art curator, and a gallerist based in Lahore, Pakistan. She has been academically trained from the renowned National College of Arts, Lahore. She has been working in the field of arts for more than a decade now and has organized various international and national exhibitions. In the late 2020, she launched her own art gallery named as Soch Contemporary in Lahore. Since then, the gallery has become a prominent destination for contemporary art from Pakistan. And for this session, our theme is present versus future of the museums. I think the museums of the future is more about interaction, creating experiences, accessibility, and educating people. I was looking at the content of Smithsonian Museum. What they are doing is they have a collection of 155 million objects in their museum. So what they are doing it because only 1% of their objects can be on display. So they are trying to digitalize it with 3D scanning tools. So these are the new different mediums that international museums are being using. Now I would request Dr. Sana to please start the conversation with us about the present versus future of the museums.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Mr. Mohammed Usman, Director of Lahore Museum, Professor Dr. Sana Durrani, and Mr. Alberto Galliani, I don't know if they're still there, and all the other distinguished colleagues, good afternoon. It's a privilege to have with us Dr. Dar here, former Director of the Lahore Museum, and also President of the ICOM, long time ago. And it's also nice to see the Fakir Khana Museum being represented. We are here today to discuss the captivating world of museums, where we are now and where we are headed. For a long time, museums housed artifacts in elaborate architectural structures. Some are still in elaborate architectural structures. And these were often indicators of wealth of rulers who, from conquest of faraway lands, brought with them conquered artifacts. The industrialization brought the citizens to the forefront and lent museums importance as educational institutions, along with being repositories of artifacts. Museums, as we know them today, are the guardians of our collective heritage. They are the keepers of history, art, culture, and science. The key aspects of the museum at present are preservation and conservation. Museums meticulously preserve and protect these treasures, ensuring their survival for generations to come. The second aspect is education and enlightenment. Presently, museums have evolved into forums where not only research towards preservation is carried on, but also training, publications, performances, meetings, and workshops are conducted. Educational outreach will remain a part of the future of an effective museum. The museum should be a resource for the community itself, both inside and outside the physical building space. Museums are not just places to view objects, they are also platforms for learning, for sparking curiosity, and fostering critical thinking. Cultural diversity is another aspect. Museums celebrate the rich tapestry of human culture and showcase art, traditions, and stories of different civilizations, societies, and promote cross-cultural understanding and empathy. Community engagement is part of what museums do today and are increasingly becoming hubs for community engagement, just like the one that we are sitting in. They host events, workshops, and discussions that bring people together.
strengthening the social fabric of our communities. Research and innovation is another facet. Many museums, though not all, are at the forefront of research and innovation. They collaborate with scholars and scientists, contributing to our understanding of history, science, and culture. Museums over the recent preceding years have done all that I mentioned. Excuse me. Museums over the recent preceding years have done all that I mentioned, some more than others. But the world around us has and is changing radically in good and bad ways. We are living in times of accelerated change, growing social inequality, major environmental issues and climate change, and of course other issues specific to our part of the world. These are not only affecting our life, but the ways our systems and structures are evolving. Museums have traditionally focused on conserving and showcasing their collections. While these roles continue to be fundamental even today, museums are increasingly looking to take on developing and expanded roles as they transition towards becoming museums of the future. If the museum does not play its role in the way people access, enjoy, and create culture, and does not seek to fully grasp its potential, there is a real risk that it will become obsolete for the people it seeks to engage. Now let's fast forward to the future of museums, a future that promises to be both exciting and transformative. How does it change in order to be more adaptable, creative, and confident, enabling it to survive and thrive in times of tremendous change? Let's look back 50 years as a way to appreciate the possibilities of the next 50 years. In 1973, technologies that we all take for granted today did not exist. Websites did not exist. Google did not exist. And smartphones did not exist. Today, we take these technologies for granted. They have fundamentally changed our lives, how we work and how we live. It's much easier to look to the past and see change than to imagine change in the future. We are able to see glimpses of the future today in artificial intelligence, machine learning, use of data, augmented and virtual reality, but there will be others currently unimagined. Technology will develop even more rapidly, and while we may not be able to imagine the form it will take, exponential change is a certainty. The biggest change will come through digital transformation and will be a major step into the future. Museums will fully embrace digital technology. These changes will present museums of the future with enormous opportunities to present in new ways and capture new audiences. It will use new technologies to interact with audiences who are becoming more and more virtual, in particularly the young people. It will be a virtual place of consultation for innovation and positive change. Imagine stepping into a virtual world to explore ancient civilizations, walk among dinosaurs, or admire artworks from the comfort of your home. Virtual reality and augmented reality will make these experiences possible. It is already making it possible. Blurring the line between physical and the digital realms. Some, as I said, have already experimented with all of these. Our own history museum has incorporated augmented reality. Adopting new technologies to cater to the audiences of today and preparing for the audiences of tomorrow will require augmented reality applications and use of technology to create interactive visitor experiences. Virtual exhibitions, digital tours, and online education resources will require to reach out to existing and new audiences through websites and social media platforms. The Museum of the Future will strive to be accessible to all. They will prioritize inclusivity, ensuring that everyone, regardless of physical abilities, can enjoy exhibits. Museums will also cater to diverse perspectives, telling stories that have been historically marginalized and taking collections and programs beyond the museum walls. For that, museums have to again leverage technology to create immersive experiences and increase access by bringing their collections and programs to the people. Museums of the future will lead the charge in sustainability, from eco-friendly exhibit designs to energy-efficient operations. They will demonstrate a commitment to environmental stewardship and align with global efforts to combat climate change. Global collaboration will be yet another aspect. Museums will engage in global collaborations and share artifacts, knowledge, and exhibitions with museums from around the world, fostering international dialogue and understanding, some of which we are already seeing. Most of the engagement of museums will be data-driven. Museums will use data and analytics to personalize the visitor experience. Imagine a museum that tailors its exhibits and programs to your individual interests, creating a more engaging and an immersive visit. Virtual engagements will extend their reach through the digital realm. Virtual exhibitions, online resources, and interactive platforms will connect museums with global audiences, providing access to culture and knowledge. So the future museums will be innovation hubs, hosting discussions on emerging technologies, scientific discoveries, and societal challenges, serving as platforms for critical conversations. Consequently, museums will strive for representation. They will actively address historical biases and ensure that underrepresented voices and stories take center stage. Partnership and collaboration will be the core of everything if it is not already there. A museum would need to look at more than the organizational chart and challenge the formal structures and processes by working with different people, varied people, and with more than just museum people. Museums would have to draw in talent from across the creative industries and the social sector to create museum experiences. And I'm glad to know that the Lahore Museum is already doing that in this particular conference also. If museums manage to take those who, for one reason or another, never thought of coming, those who have felt excluded for not being able to experience exhibitions the way they could experience the world, those who do not even know what a museum is, they will ensure an inclusive new museum of the future. With all this, museums will continue to play a vital role in cultural diplomacy, promoting international understanding and cooperation through exhibitions and cultural exchanges. We would like to think that in the future, the social value of museums will increase, not because they will have more prestige, but because they will meaningfully and truly include, integrate, and unite communities who will find themselves reflected and considered as a vital part of the experience itself. A museum of the future will not wait for visitors to be interested in coming to see their displays and exhibitions. It will actively take the museum to the visitor, be interconnected with other institutions such as schools and hospitals, providing talks and taking the objects to the visitors. These could be caravan museums, which will reach those groups who are far away from museums, people in our villages, either physically or academically speaking. These would again entail interdisciplinary groups of professionals who will engage the young and the old with stories, displays, and a small visitable replica of the museum, if possible, inside the van that they take to the village. Of course, using augmented reality. Something like, I don't know, most of you are young, but something as kids, we were familiar with the Baramanki Thoban and we would be looking at it and looking at the images. Maybe the museum can use that as a prototype and have the exhibits where kids could, of course, they are much more technologically advanced now. Museum technology, however, will not be the ultimate goal for a museum of the future, but will instead act as a vehicle to help generate a deeper understanding. The goal of museum education in the future will be to curate experiences that reconnect visitors to their shared humanity. Ideas and intelligence are the most valuable products of our time, and they will remain relevant even while technologies evolve and change. The museums of the future will certainly offer a place where innovative ideas will flourish. Taking the collections to audiences, whether digitally or physically, is part of this conversation, as are considerations such as the importance of communities being able to engage. These conversations and actions cannot take place solely behind museum walls or in the isolation of professional conferences. A museum of the future will be flexible, responsive, connected via multi-platform networks to a broader range of audiences, have both traditional and non-traditional partners and collaborators to take action towards a positive social change and bring people together into a more just, equitable, compassionate, and a connected society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tusani. So अब मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी मिस उसरा उस्मानी को कि हमें थोड़ा सा लाहौर म्यूजियम के बारे में बताएं कि मैंने पिछले एक साल में देखा है कि लाहौर म्यूजियम में कुछ डिफरेंट इनिशिएटिव्स, आउटरीच प्रोग्राम्स और कुछ कंटेम्परेरी एग्जीबिशंस जो है वो ऑर्गेनाइज हो रहे हैं जो कि एक साल पहले से नहीं हो रहे थे। तो वो स्ट्रैटेजी कैसे डेवलप हुई, लाहौर म्यूजियम ने कैसे उसको फॉर्मुलेट किया, अगर आप उसके बारे में बात कर सकें जो हमारा पिछला एक साल लाहौर म्यूजियम ने कवर किया है।
थैंक यू, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका। और जिस हवाले से आपने बात की है, लाहौर म्यूजियम की गुज़िश्ता एक साल से ज़्यादा इंटरेक्ट हुआ है और उसकी बुनियादी वजह यही जो UN गोल्स हैं, जिसमें जो 17 गोल्स हैं उसमें से एक गोल उसका जो है वो क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन है। उसके अलावा जो हमारे फ्यूचर म्यूजियम्स हैं, जो अब म्यूजियम डेफिनेटली वक्त के साथ साथ क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी इवॉल्व हो गई है, तो जो म्यूजियम्स का एक जो रिवायती रूप है या म्यूजियम की जो रिवायती शक्ल है वो भी बदल रही है वक्त के साथ साथ। तो लाहौर म्यूजियम को अपनी उस जिम्मेदारी का जो म्यूजियम का रोल होता है माशरे के अंदर, उसी रोल को हम हर इम्कान कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि पूरा कर सकें और अपने माशरे में हम जितनी भी अवेयरनेस पैदा कर सकते हैं थ्रू एग्जिबिट्स जो हमारी नुमाइशें हैं। उसके अलावा हम मुख्तलिफ जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं जो इन तमाम फील्ड्स के अंदर बहुत एक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं, तो म्यूजियम की ये एक जिम्मेदारी है कि हम उनको ये प्लेटफॉर्म मुहैया करें और म्यूजियम बहुत एक्टिवली और बड़े मौसर अंदाज से गुज़िश्ता न सिर्फ एक साल से बल्कि मेरे ख्याल से 2018 में हमने बहुत अच्छे प्रोग्राम किए, जिसमें से एक जो बहुत बड़ा म्यूजियम का प्रोग्राम था वो हमारे फर्स्ट लाहौर बिलाली मैं कुछ चैलेंज के साथ किया था और उसमें भी जो मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजीज थी और इंटरेक्टिव जो स्ट्रेटजीज हैं जो म्यूजियम ने डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज ने अडॉप्ट की हुई हैं उनको हमने अपने एग्जिबिट्स में किया था। वो के क्यूरेटर्स लाहौर म्यूजियम से नहीं थे, लेकिन किसी भी माशरे में म्यूजियम्स जो है पार्ट ऑफ द कम्युनिटी होते हैं। किसी भी माशरे का एक बड़ा अहम और इंटेग्रल पार्ट होते हैं म्यूजियम्स, और म्यूजियम्स की जो सर्विसेज हैं वो सोसाइटी के यही है कि जो सोसाइटी के सरगर्म और एक्टिव पार्ट्स हैं, जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो एक्टिव उन चीज़ों को कर रही हैं, तो म्यूजियम उनको एक प्लेटफॉर्म मुहैया करता है। और यही वजह है कि हम गुज़िश्ता साल से उसमें कुछ है और इंशाल्लाह फ्यूचर में आप इसमें मजीद इसमें सस्टेनेबिलिटी भी देखेंगे इसमें, और इसमें आप एक कंटिन्यूटी भी, तसलसल भी आपको नजर आएगा।
थैंक यू सो मच। मैं जानना चाहूंगी कि म्यूजियम कैसे कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन को इन्हांस करने के लिए। क्या लाहौर म्यूजियम ने इसके लिए कुछ किया है कि हम लोगों को ज्यादा एजुकेट कर सकें म्यूजियम के बारे में?
जी, म्यूजियम क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन में म्यूजियम का बहुत, म्यूजियम्स जितने म्यूजियम्स हैं ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, पूरी दुनिया भर में जो म्यूजियम होते हैं, पाकिस्तान में हमारे न सिर्फ लाहौर म्यूजियम के अलावा लाहौर के अंदर बेशुमार म्यूजियम है, जिनमें शाकिर अली म्यूजियम है और फकीर खान म्यूजियम है। ये तमाम म्यूजियम्स हैं जो क्वालिटी एजुकेशन में बड़ा उनका एक अहम रोल होता है। क्वालिटी उसका वजह है कि म्यूजियम एक ऐसी जगह होती है जहाँ आप एक कन्वेंशनल जो एक रिवायती तरीका तालीम है उससे जरा हट कर आप म्यूजियम से एक एजुकेशन लेते हैं। जैसे कि हम हमारे बहुत सारे जो स्कूल्स हैं, कॉलेजेस हैं और इवन यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, वहाँ पर हम डिफरेंट सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में पढ़ते हैं। हमने इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में भी पढ़ा है, वो के जो हमारी आर्ट का जो हमारा करिकुलम है, निसाब है, उसके अंदर मोस्टली जो है वो वेस्टर्न एंड आर्ट को पढ़ाया जाता है। और जो एशियन आर्ट्स है, साउथ ईस्ट एशियन आर्ट जो है उसमें इतनी ज़्यादा कोई हमारे सिलेबस में उसकी गुंजाइश नहीं है। तो जो हमारी मुल्क की तहजीब है, हमारे मुल्क का जो कल्चर है, हमारे मुल्क की जो सकाफत है, तारीख है, उसकी जो कमी हमारे सिलेबस में पाई जाती है, वो सिलेबस जो है वो म्यूजियम पूरी करता है। आप यहाँ पर म्यूजियम में कभी भी, और दो मानते हैं कि लाहौर म्यूजियम डेफिनेटली उस तरह का नहीं है जैसे डेवलप कंट्रीज में, और वो म्यूजियम का वही फर्क है जो कि एक डेवलप कंट्री और एक अंडर डेवलप कंट्रीज में जो फर्क होता है, वही एक डेवलप कंट्री के म्यूजियम और एक अंडर डेवलप कंट्री के म्यूजियम में वो फर्क भी होता है, क्योंकि म्यूजियम पार्ट होते हैं उसी सोसाइटी का। तो जब आप इंडस वैली वादी सिंह की तहजीब के बारे में, इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, या मेहरगढ़ की सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में पढ़ते हैं, ये तमाम सिविलाइजेशन आपको इंटरनेशनली करिकुलम में नहीं मिलेगी, वो आपको पाकिस्तान में ही थोड़ा मिलेगा, और उसकी तमाम कमी जो है वो आप लाहौर म्यूजियम से आके इनफॉर्मल वे ऑफ एजुकेशन के हवाले से वो आप लेते हैं। और लाहौर म्यूजियम इस सिलसिले में मैं खासी तौर से लाहौर म्यूजियम का अमल में आया है, बहुत से ज़्यादा रिसर्च हुई है, इवन के जो लाहौर म्यूजियम जो हमारे आर्टिफैक्ट्स हैं वो अर्ली एक्सकवेशन से उनका ताल्लुक है। 1921 में जब सर जॉन मार्शल ने की थी, तो देखा जाए तो म्यूजियम सिंस जब से बना है, जब से ही एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट के तौर पर पाकिस्तान में, पाकिस्तान सोसाइटी में अपना किरदार अदा कर रहा है। और म्यूजियम्स का ये रोल है कि एजुकेशन जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है डिफरेंट, और म्यूजियम्स जो है वो आपको एक प्लेटफॉर्म बुनियादी तौर पर फराहम करते हैं। और हमें बल्कि आप सब लोगों से भी मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है कि बीइंग द पार्ट ऑफ द सोसाइटी, आप भी लोगों के अंदर ये एजुकेशन और ये अवेयरनेस पैदा करें कि वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा म्यूजियम्स को विजिट करें। और म्यूजियम जो आर्टिफैक्ट्स हैं, ऑल दो वो हमें बज़ाहिर लगता है कि वो हमसे बात नहीं कर रहे, लेकिन जब आप मुख्तलिफ उसके साथ आ रहे होते हैं फील्ड ऑफ लाइफ से, और जब आप किसी चीज़ को पढ़ रहे होते हैं, तो और आप फिर म्यूजियम विजिट करते हैं, तो वही ऑब्जेक्ट जो हमें बगैर किसी इंफॉर्मेशन के लगता है कि वो खामोश है, वो हमसे बात करने लगते हैं। मेरा अपना पर्सनल बचपन के एक्सपीरियंस है, बचपन में व्हेन आई वाज studying as a student of art, तो इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन को जब मैंने पढ़ा कि एक्सकवेशंस हुई और इस तरह के आर्टिफैक्ट्स थे, तो मैं इमेजिन नहीं कर रहा था, क्योंकि हमारी जो सिलेबस बिल्कुल टेक्स्ट होती है, उनमें कोई आपकी विजुअल एड नहीं होती, और डेफिनेटली आपका जमाना चेंज हो गया है। लेकिन उसके बाद जब मेरे फादर मुझे आई और वहाँ पर आ गए इंडस वैली की उस जमाने में जब मैंने देखी थी, तो वो तमाम चीज़ें, डांसिंग गर्ल और जो उसमें एक्सकवेटेड मटेरियल है, उसके ऊपर जो इमेजेस थे, जो टेक्निक्स पढ़ाई जाती थी, किस तरह से जो इंडस वैली के लोग हैं किस तरह से वो पॉट्स को बनाते थे, उनके ऊपर जो डिजाइन थे, उनकी डिजाइन की क्या फॉर्मेशन थी, वो मटेरियल, वो विजुअल एक्सपीरियंस जो है और वो जो इंटरेक्शन है वो बड़ा कमाल का था उस जमाने में भी, और अब तो डेफिनेटली अब जो टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई है, AR आ गई है, IR आ गई है, उसको भी हमें इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए। लेकिन उसमें मैं बस एक गुजारिश ही करूंगी कि हमें इंटेलिजेंट, ये जो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस है, उसमें हमें थोड़ा सा नेचर के करीब होना होगा। हमें उसे बहुत ज्यादा आर्टिफिशियल नहीं कर देना। हमें अपनी सकाफत को, कल्चर को और म्यूजियम के जो आर्टिफैक्ट्स हैं उनको हमें जरूर टेक्नोलॉजी में कन्वर्ट करना है, लेकिन हमने उसकी जो ओरिजिनल एंटिटी है उसको बहुत ज्यादा उसको चेंज नहीं कर देना। मेरा जो थोड़ा बहुत एक्सपीरियंस हुआ है उसमें मेरा तजर्बा ये है कि हम उसको बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेक्टिव बनाने के हवाले से और इंटरेस्टिंग बनाने के हवाले से यंग जनरेशन में उसके डिजाइन्स के और उसके एलिमेंट्स में बहुत ज्यादा तब्दीलियां ले आते हैं, जिसकी वजह से वो जो ओरिजिनल फॉर्म ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट है वो काफी हद तक चेंज हो जाती है। लेकिन अगर हमारे डिजाइनर्स या आर्ट स्टूडेंट्स या जो इस टेक्नोलॉजी में काम कर रहे हैं वो अगर थोड़ी सी इस तरफ तवज्जो दें और इसको डॉक्यूमेंट करें तो ये एक बहुत बड़ी कंट्रीब्यूशन होगी सोसाइटी में।
So my next question is from Ms. Qudsiya Rahim. Qudsiya, Lahore Biennale has been collaborating with World City Arts Council and Lahore Museum. We would like to know the process and how difficult it was for gallery spaces and then coming into these unconventional spaces for international large-scale exhibitions. What were the challenges and how did you took it forward?
Okay. Thank you so much. सबसे पहले तो thank you to the Lahore Museum and Sana sitting over there working very hard on this. I think these kind of talks are very important, and as you can see, we have a lot of ideas and there are lots of people who are working in it, and these opportunities connect them. I'm myself very happy to be here. The idea of the Biennale was a foundation first, and then an event later. All of this came about various conversations between friends. And certainly there are some people like myself and other, my husband sitting over there, Raza, and some other people who have played a role in bringing it or giving it more time. But definitely it is an entity that has a lot of supporters and a lot of people who play a role in different ways, in different capacities. Being part of the arts community myself, growing up in Lahore and being exposed to various forms of art since my childhood, it was very easy that I would, of course, my interest in art was very easy for me to say that I lived, I lived abroad also, came back. We had to do something in arts. I didn't start it for it to be something big or large or something, something, that stands out from other things and other initiatives. I want Lahore Biennale to be one of 10 million things that are happening in the city. And what does it mean? So to create a space where art and culture is rightfully experienced in a city like Lahore, where was culture, history, traditions, values, we wear on us, gastronomically, heritage-wise, culturally. It used to be the capital of undivided, it used to be a place of art and culture, and was one of the cities of, of prominence, even at the time of, Indo-Pak and those kind of things. So we have a beautiful, healthy tradition in so many ways, in so many facets. The foundation primarily constituted to look into a few things: inclusivity, collaboration, public engagement, and bringing art outside in the public realm for a larger dialogue. These were some of the fundamental point of views, that we were. So doing the Biennale as the first product or the first initiative of the foundation was not our main game. What we wanted to do was exist in the public space, understand what it means, and then slowly grow from it. Clearly, our partnership with the government had all its, we were the first organization that went up to them to say, this is what we want to do. And I think this is a very good time to actually pay tribute to something very, very important for the biennial, but also for the arts institutions, art and other cultural initiatives. We lost this man, Abdullah Sumbul. He was the commissioner of Lahore at the time we started. Was one of the first people who actually helped us get on our feet. But he wanted that anybody who knew him in this room knew that he was a man from the heart. Public service really meant something to me. So I would say that I started the foundation in an environment where Mia Shakib, who is the ACS now, Abdullah Sumbul, who recently passed away. These were the people who were my mentors. Omar Rasool is another person who had a role to play. So these were the people who were my mentors when I was going into the government space, trying to create that dialogue. So, what kind of work we were wanting to do. And along with that, I think we have a lot of great people from the civil society as well. So little by little, I would say that the foundation grew into the public space, and we were able to do initially smaller projects. Smaller projects we went into, in 2018, we did the first biennial.
What's here? Now I would request Mariam to please tell us about the exhibition, because Binali was the pioneer of coming to public spaces, and then you have brought a show here for this conference. We would like to know about the exhibition and who are the participating artists. Then we can talk about your collaboration with the Lahore Museum as well.
Hello everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Lahore Museum and Sana Durrani, definitely. She has really worked hard for this project, and I'm really honored to be part of this. So about the exhibition, there are 9 participating artists, and all of them are, representing their talent from the augmented reality. There is sound detection and animations after the panel talk to see what they have produced. And the main, I think, idea was to understand that how we can use this collection and produce something which can be more communicative for this right now generation. And I would like to point out that to understand what is the future museum, we must understand the future generations and how they communicate. And it is very important to use new tools to bring the visitors back. And I think this exhibition is just a starting point where we can see that how the audience or the viewers, the visitors are responding to the artworks being produced by the artist. So I would really like to here mention an artist from my exhibition, Dr. Nawahat. She has came all the way from Saudi to represent her artwork. She has actually taken a painting from by Anna Monica. There is a representation of Kaaba in it, and she is born and brought up in Saudi, and she has taken another level to that painting, because through mobile, if you see that painting, you can actually see the transition of Kaaba's architecture, the whole building's architecture. She has used like new cranes and the works which have been done in that area, and the painting has almost become alive. Even the tawaf has become alive. So I think the new generation will be very fascinated to understand and see that how a painting can be a moving object too. Zahid Malik, one of the participating artists, has taken painting from Sadake and turned into moving animation. And there's also another artist on this. She has taken a post ticket and animated it through the different images she has been maybe used at that time and connected it through political voiceovers. So it also shows that when a career support or support changes, it has to do a lot of things with the political change over time. So I think it's once this exhibition you're able to give me the feedback better so that how the whole exhibition has taken the collection.
Thank you. Now we are more excited to see the exhibition. My next question is from Ms. Uzma Usmani. Ms. Uzma, आपने देखा है कि पिछले कुछ सालों में पाकिस्तान is one of the worst hit country by climate change. So क्या लाहौर म्यूजियम में लोगों को एजुकेट करने के लिए कोई इको सिस्टम के हवाले से सस्टेनेबिलिटी के हवाले से कोई प्रोग्राम कोई वर्कशॉप करवाई गई है हम लोगों को सस्टेनेबिलिटी के बारे में के बारे में
बिल्कुल कि जितनी हद कोशिश होती है कि हम जो इंटरनेशनल इश्यूज हैं उनके साथ कनेक्टेड ना सिर्फ हम उससे मरबूत रहें और अपने जो भी हमारे अवेलेबल रिसोर्सेज हैं एक तो बात होती है कि आप रिसोर्सेज से बढ़ के तो आप बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं आप बहुत बिग आइडियाज पे काम कर सकते हैं लेकिन बात ये है कि हमें उन आइडियाज पे काम करना चाहिए बीइंग अ डेवलप्ड कंट्री भी कि जो जिनको हम कर सकते हैं हमने अपने रेंज में एक तो हम ग्लोबली ट्री प्लांटेशन की कुछ एक में बहुत बढ़ चढ़ के हिस्सा लिया और ट्री प्लांटेशन में ग्रीनर पाकिस्तान के हमारे सामने कुछ प्रोग्राम किए उसके अलावा हमने जो है रिसेंटली कुछ वर्कशॉप्स करवाई हैं जिसमें हमने एक तो सिस्टम जिसका मकसद एक तो इकोनॉमिकल ग्रोथ था दूसरा उसका मकसद सस्टेनेबिलिटी था तीसरा उसका जो मकसद ये था कि हमारी जो यंग जनरेशन है उसको हम इस काबिल कर सकें कि वो सेल्फ सफिशिएंट बन सकें और कोई ऐसी स्किल या कोई ऐसी चीज़ को वो सीख सकें जिनको वो मुस्तकबिल में एज ए प्रोफेशन भी अपना सकें और पांचवी जो उसकी वजह ये थी कि हम डेफिनेटली ये कोई सीक्रेट नहीं है ये कोई ढकी छुपी बात नहीं है हर शख्स को पता है जो भी पाकिस्तान की कंडीशंस हैं और हमने इन जो पाकिस्तान को चैलेंजेस हम फेस कर रहे हैं एनर्जी के हवाले से या अपनी इकोनॉमिकल कंडीशन के हवाले से तो उस सब से हमने मिलकर ही उससे निकलना है तो उस हवाले से हमने अपनी जो हमारी पेपर की प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उसमें हमने एक हैंडमेड पेपर की वर्कशॉप करवाई और जैसा कि मैं पहले से कर चुकी हूँ उसके लिए ये टारगेटेड थी कि हम इसको ऐसे और दो बहुत सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन है नेशनल कॉलेज ऑफ आर्ट्स है बहुत से आर्ट्स इंस्टीट्यूशन है जो कि हैंडमेड पेपर सिखाते हैं लेकिन वो एक क्राइटेरिया है कि आपने उसमें एडमिशन लेना है और वो आउटरीच मतलब एक जो लोग स्टूडेंट हैं जिनकी इतनी तालीमी काबिलियत नहीं है या जो वो इंस्टीट्यूशन में एडमिशन नहीं ले पाते तो वो भी इस हुनर को सीख सकें तो इस हवाले से हमने ये वर्कशॉप करवाई और हमने समर कैंप हमारा एक बहुत ही सक्सेसफुल इवेंट था जिसमें बहुत ज़्यादा हमने इट्स अ ह्यूज प्रोग्राम and I'm very thankful to the recent director Mahmood Usman Saab. He's a very visionary director I've ever seen in the history of in my tenure of the service. उन्होंने एक बहुत ही इंटेंस किस्म का जो है प्रोग्राम करवाया और जो कि हम भी म्यूजियम पर्सन हम समझ रहे थे कि बहुत इंटेंस हो जाएगा और ये बड़ा हमारी रेंज नहीं है हमारी एरिया नहीं है लेकिन उसके बावजूद वो हुआ और उसमें हमने न सिर्फ पेपर मेकिंग की चीज़ें पेपर से जो रिसाइकल मटेरियल है जो इको फ्रेंडली इन्वायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली मटेरियल है उसको हमने इस्तेमाल किया और फिर हमने उस पेपर से प्रोडक्ट
प्रोडक्ट्स बनाना भी लोगों को सिखाएं कि आप उनको जो अभी जैसे वेस्टेज ऑफ मटेरियल है, जैसे हमारा क्लाइमेट से डेफिनेटली पूरा ग्लोब जो है वो प्लेनेट एट रिस्क है, तो हमें जो प्लास्टिक में या इंडस्ट्रियल जो प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उनको हमें वैसे भी रिड्यूस करना चाहिए विद द सोसाइटी, और हमें देखना चाहिए कि हमारी कंजप्शन जो है वो स्मार्ट कंजप्शन होनी चाहिए, किसी का स्मार्ट प्रोडक्शन होनी चाहिए कि हम खुद ही चीज़ प्रोड्यूस करें और हम एक ऐसी चीज़ प्रोड्यूस करें जो कि बाद में रिवर्सिबल हो और जिसको हम बाद में इस्तेमाल भी कर सकें। तो उस हवाले से जो पेपर मैशे, और दो पेपर मैशे अगर आप म्यूजियम विजिट करेंगे तो हमारी इस्लामिक गैलरी के अंदर ये हमारी रिवायती जो पेपर मैशे की इंडस्ट्री है जो कि कश्मीर में इस हवाले से बहुत मशहूर है और वो निहायत ही खूबसूरत क्राफ्ट है पेपर मैशे की, उसको वो हमने रिवाइव करने की कोशिश की है। और तो वो उस रिक्वायरमेंट तक तो नहीं है जो कि, लेकिन अगर उन ऑब्जेक्ट्स के ऊपर रिसर्च की जाए, तहकीक की जाए और उसके ऊपर मुसलसल काम किया जाए, उसमें डेफिनेटली म्यूजियम तनहा तो नहीं ये चीज़ कर सकता, उसमें हमें आर्ट इंस्टीट्यूशंस की और डिफरेंट जो हमारी प्रोडक्शन साइट के ऊपर जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं उनकी हेल्प की ज़रूरत होगी, ताकि वो हम आपस में मिल के इस तरह की चीज़ों को रिवाइव कर सकें जो कि प्लास्टिक का लेवल बदल हो और जो एनवायरमेंट के लिए हो, क्योंकि प्लास्टिक डेफिनेटली एक ऐसी चीज़ है कि जो कि मेरे पास सेंचुरीज एजेस, जो अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं फ्यूचर म्यूजियम के फ्यूचर की, उसमें मुझे लगता है जो मोर ड्रास्टिक थिंग जो म्यूजियम में रखी जाएगी वो प्रोडक्ट्स होंगी जो प्लास्टिक से बनी हुई होगी। तो हमें ये भी देखना होगा कि हम उस तरह की चीज़ें जो इन्वायरमेंट के लिए ना हो, फ्रेंडली हो, उस हवाले से फिर हमने इस तरह की वर्कशॉप्स भी की। इसके अलावा हमने एक क्ले पॉटरी की वर्कशॉप भी हमें इंट्रोड्यूस करवाई, हमने जो नई जनरेशन है उसको उस मटेरियल से इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया। ये अगर आपकी कंट्री में एनर्जी क्राइसिस चल रहा है या अगर आपकी कंट्री जो है एक डेवलप कंट्री है और आप वो तमाम रिसोर्सेज जो कि डेवलप कंट्रीज को हासिल हैं आपके पास नहीं है, तो आप विद इन द रिसोर्सेज जो आपके मटेरियल है, जो आपके लोकल मटेरियल है, जो आपकी स्किल्स हैं, जो आपके फोरफादर्स की स्किल है, आपके आबाजदाद की स्किल है, आप उससे अपने आप को अपने रूट्स को एकदम से कट ऑफ नहीं कर सकते टू स्विच ऑफ द मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजीज। मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी को अपनाना बहुत अच्छी बात है, उसको सीखना बहुत अच्छी बात है, लेकिन इन डेप्थ नॉलेज के साथ। सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी फॉर द सेक ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी को अपना लेना और उसको एक भेड़ चाल के तौर अपना लेना, मैं नहीं समझती कि ये एक हमारी कंट्री के लिए अच्छा होगा। टेक्नोलॉजी को हमें अपने कल्चर, अपने माहौल और जो हमारी रूट्स हैं और स्पेशली हमें उसको कनेक्ट करना होगा अपने माजी के साथ, कि हमारी जो क्राफ्ट्स थी वो किस तरह की थी और उनको बनाने के अंदर जो हमारे फादर्स थे उनके आगे क्या फिलोसफी थी। वो सिंपल थी और वो बहुत आप देखेंगे वो खूबसूरत भी हैं, वो सिंपल भी हैं, उनका यूटिलिटी पर्पस भी है। और अगर आप देखें वो उस जमाने की जो आज हम जिसको माजी कह रहे हैं वो कभी मुस्तकबिल था, तो उस मुस्तकबिल में उन्होंने क्राफ्टमैनशिप को अपने इंतहा तक पहुंचाया है। अगर वो उस चीज़ की थी तो उन्होंने उसको इको फ्रेंडली भी की, वो आर्टिस्टिकली एस्थेटिकली भी बहुत खूब है, उसमें स्किल भी है, हुनर भी है, सब कुछ है। तो हमें अब बदलते ज़माने के साथ ये देखना होगा कि जो आया हम जो मॉडर्न टेक्नोलॉजी इस्तेमाल हैं, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं या हम 3D प्रिंटिंग के हवाले से लेके जा रहे हैं, उनको भी हमें एक तो इन्वायरमेंट फ्रेंडली बनाना होगा, दूसरा उनको हमें एसोसिएट करना होगा अपने तहजीब के के साथ और उसको हमें फ्रेंडली बनाना होगा अपने लोगों के हवाले से। उसके लिए हमें बहुत इन डेप्थ एक रिसर्च और एक स्टडी चाहिए होगी कि वो टेक्नोलॉजी, जैसे आपने देखा होगा यूट्यूब चैनल पे अब तो कोई मसला नहीं है, आप देख सकते हैं जितने भी वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज हैं, डेवलप कंट्रीज हैं, वो कोई भी प्रोडक्ट बनाते हैं उसके पीछे एक यूटिलिटेरियन पर्पस होता है और वो फॉर दी बेटरमेंट ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटी होती है, उसका पर्पस होता है, वो प्रोडक्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ प्रोडक्ट नहीं होती। इस हवाले से हमें तवज्जो भी देनी चाहिए और म्यूजियम की जो दरवाजे हैं हमेशा ऐसी चीज़ों के लिए एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जिसको डेफिनेटली म्यूजियम ने हमेशा से वेलकम किया है और आगे भी करेगा।
Many museums are exploring initiatives and I have observed कि लाहौर बनाने ने भी project reforestation को launch किया. What was that project about? How is it climate change?
I think from the earlier since we are part of the industry ourselves, of the art world ourselves, we were very conscious of the fact that the foundation's footprint has to be ethical, has to be energy efficient, it has to represent the country that it lives, works, and serves. So, so the programming was done accordingly. The engagements were done accordingly. Providing relief to the system where there's just so much responsibility of this one museum in the whole city, right? Those kind of things. How can we break opportunities to the artists? Those kind of things were one of the forefront. Since your question is about sustainability and the role of Lahore and ICOM Foundation, we look at it in many ways. One of the studies showed that a lot of pioneers have their own carbon footprint or post-production footprint or post-pioneer footprint. We were very conscious of that. And so with Raza Ali Dada, we made sure that all of those were addressed in a certain way, that once the exhibition was created, post, de-installation, how, the exhibition was going to, actually the materials that were used for the exhibition, as we designed, we were conscious of what the afterlife of those are going to be, right? So now we are almost, waste free in that capacity. So all our materials we use with an understanding what kind of afterlife they will have. The exhibition, when we started in 2014, smog had become like a big thing and those kind of things. So we did a lot of research on that. Since we are a contemporary arts foundation, the contemporary issues are very important to us. So from the beginning, the first findings, we were very conscientious of those, the decisions that we were making. One of the things that we realized earlier on was, what does it mean? The smog now is becoming, and climate was becoming very serious for Lahore. We wanted to address that. And since I was going into public offices all the time, I knew where they were on the issue. I was going to institutions, private institutions, all the time for collaboration, other engagements. I knew where they were. So what we proposed to them was to start a consortium of public-private partnership. And Lahore Biennale was happy to host as a consortium head. So all the government institutions with Mushba Paraj at that time was the Commission of Lahore. And we invited, all the academics and field experts within the civil society that we knew. And we started with what called afforestation. We wanted to start with something that was more tangible, more immediate, and we passed a whole bunch of, the consortium passed a whole bunch of, orders through the government offices, about crop burning, about garbage burning, with urban unit, another group of people were looking at peri-urban policies and urban policies. The foundation was also planted about 2.5 million trees within the city. Started the first urban forest in Lahore, which got a lot of attention of the government. And we were able to, in places where there weren't any parks or many parks or places where we could grow more trees, because of the expansion of the city, we were looking at creating these urban forests within the parks, within the community spaces. So in total of 53 Miyawaki forests were then created, and perhaps the world's largest is also in Lahore. That was another initiative that took forward.
those kind of conversations resulted into another program that the consortium and the biennial created together, was the Green School Certification Program. We were bringing climate education, ecological practices into schools. And we were doing that through art and art education with LUMS and WWF. And there's this fantastic faculty, Razia Sadiq, who is teaching at the School of Education. She has a degree in art education, who was leading this program. So these kind of things that we were doing as an art institution, bringing art into these kind of spaces and seeing how we can work with it. Meanwhile, the next biennial, the coming biennial, is focusing primarily on ecologies and sustainable futures, curated by John Ting, who is a very academic mind based out of Art Asia Archives. And the way that he is approaching these issues, and I think Usma very well said, there is a role, a very, very important role of embedded knowledge, local knowledge, that we need to always recognize, especially for Indus Valley is what, 7,000 years old. So in a country, a space with people who have that kind of wealth of knowledge, the idea of the biennial is to take the embedded knowledge and new contemporary knowledges and work towards. So the biennial's title is Sustainable Futures, right? So as you already know that we are sensitive to a lot of practices and methods that were discussed in various forms over the course of today, that new knowledges, new techniques, new systems are also very important to us, and traditional forms as well. So I think this biennial is going to be very important for Lahore to connect with the rest of the world and together realize, what does it mean, being here now.
I think Lahore Banale, as we see, Connect College, Lahore Arts Council, and Art Soch Contemporary, all of us are stakeholders of Lahore Museum. Ultimately, we are the ones who are going to contribute into the Lahore Museum. So, Mariam, I would like to ask you how Art Soch Contemporary is going, dealing with contemporary art of Pakistani artists. What is its thought, and how are you taking forward this gallery? So it can come back to the Lahore Museum after maybe so many decades. It will eventually come back to our museums as well.
Actually, we have on how climate change has and the immigrants have done exhibitions. Kinsa Nacha was obviously represented, and she talked about how when somebody has to move their own bag, how it feels. So she actually bought this small ship from Rami, and she talked about also that some people changes, and I think even with the collaboration with the Lahore Museum, I think the digital is eco-friendly, and I would really as Usma do agree to Usma that we need to understand artifacts on their own too, through observation and not putting everything into digital realm. And I do agree a lot of what she has said. But I think we also need connecting it to the climate change and the whole ecology point, that even the artifacts in the museum, few of them, or maybe most of them, are on the verge of decay. So they might not be here after 3 decades or so. So how the future generations will be able to see those, right? So these are the concerns which I would like to highlight, that if we talk about, I would like to actually give an example here. The the Titanic wreck, which was in news for a very unfortunate incident. I was reading about Titanic wreck and how in maybe in last 4 decades it will be not even there because it is on the verge of decay. So they have actually documented each inch of that shipwreck, so they can produce a holograph of that whole wreck and bring to the museums, and people can actually go and experience that. So this is just one example of how, keeping in mind that climate change and the possibilities after the pandemic, we need to take more things into digital modes. And also the U.A.E Museum, the Future Museum, there is a brick there which is made out of carbon. So it shows that it is a very sustainable sort of a solution which they came up with. They're using the air and purifying it to make it a brick out of that dirt from the air and the carbon from the air. And that brick can be actually used to build future buildings. So these type of things can, really add into bring future museums. And Soch is looking forward to even collaborate in such initiatives. Even the Lahore theme, I was really, really happy to see the whole theme and the curator which is coming in. And I think it's about time. It is right now. I think the studies have been saying that maybe we have 1 decade more, 10 years. We are already on the verge that everything can change. So yes, I would really like to collaborate on more initiatives such as Lahore and with the museum. And I think galleries have to play this role. Not much, but whatever we can do through our sources. Yes.
So one of the not new, we've been doing it from the beginning, collateral events, right? So when we talk about, not being the only one or not, I think that excites. And so parallel to be engaged, right? Collateral events incredibly to us. And this is why of the announcement of the curator, we made sure that we are able to bring the city to celebrate and city to become an active site of conversation and plurality through various point of views to come forward. And I think if one thing we all know, like, somebody was talking about climate being an emergency and immediate issue for us. Certain bonds have been broken geography is right, but certain bonds have been broken where the temperature, the climate, and the ecosystem is in peril, and we need to pay attention to it. It's very, so one of the things that we have invited is for everybody in Lahore, whoever would like to create parallel programs to do that. And I would actually like to say a big thank you to Dr. Ruxana David and the Canadian College for their contribution. And they're also thinking there was another conversation. I'm actually going to take this conversation back to you. Yes, her commitment and resolve museum studies for arts, her connection to all of that, and her role that the museum, the institution will also play.
I just want to add something here that we're talking about inclusivity. And I think that the climate change and all these things are not only affecting people of Lahore, they are affecting people from the peripheral areas. And I think we need to look at that when we have these particular things that we are discussing. I think we should pick out one region, one city, and try to include them in this conversation. To me, that's so important. And I also feel that as a principle that Canada is only accessible to a few. And yet we have so many people in the country who will never know education, who have no access to, especially women. I don't want to take it into that side. I think it is important to include people who do not have a museum in their city, who do not know much about their heritage. I think it's important to do some sort of program with them. And I think many of them are very intelligent and they are very receptive to what their culture is and what their heritage is. So I think that would be interesting to include them. And yes, this has been my dream to start museum studies. And I hope that with Kutsia's help and me together, we will initiate that because I think that is so important.
I was about to ask this question about affiliate college. Are we connecting our students with the museum? I have often seen that students of Kinnaird College are visiting art galleries and museums. So, but Kinnaird College is doing that. Do you think other universities and colleges are also doing that? How would you?
It's permeating this feeling of doing something for the city, doing something for the problems that the city has. I think this is permeating and a lot of younger generation is very aware of these things. So there are a lot of universities, including Kinnaird, to make sure that we are cognizant of what is happening to the city and what they as young students can contribute.
Are you thinking to plan any workshops or anything related to museum? I think
we have that kind of conference every year when it's a museum, 18th of May, I think it is. This year I wasn't here, but we do that. And I think the students in general, because museum is something that is for everyone. You would be studying any subject, and yet the museum is relevant. So it's something that interests everyone.
Now I would request the speakers to, they can share if there is anything left or they have missed out or any concluding remarks for the session today, and then we can take questions. Are there any questions from the audience? We are on time.
We need to wrap it up.
Yeah,
We have five.
We can one have spoken. Yes. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the audience? Anyone would like to ask anything?
Yes.